And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China.
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what? China. All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China.
Russian.
Russia.
Italian.
Italy.
German.
Germany.
Swedish.
Sweden.
Korean.
Korea.
Egyptian.
Egypt.
Nigerian.
Nigeria.
Black.
Exactly. Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
The same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black.
The white man is enacting a story all over the world. We left our homes and flooded the world. We smothered culture. We smothered knowledge. We erased history and rewrote it our way. Myself, my grandfather is 100% Ashkenazi Jewish. Claiming to be Jewish, Ashkenazi Jewish is just a conspiracy. White men claiming to be of tribes of Israel when I'm Germanic. You know, I have no ties to Israel, no ties to Judaism. You know, except loosely written history that's been whitewashed over for centuries. And, you know,
from the Renaissance.
Oh yeah, right. You wipe everything clean. It's funny how exactly the Renaissance. It's this rebirth, but it's white rebirth. I think at the same exact time the Renaissance is happening, Columbus is sailing to America and committing genocide.
The same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black.
There's only one true ethnic Jew, the Mizrahi Jew, because they are Africans, and if you read the original Bible written in Phoenician Hebrew, they're not. Jewish people are not Europeans. The modern Jews in Israel are Russians or Khazars to be precise, from Russia. I learned it from my grandfather that because he was an Ashkenazi Jew.
The same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black.
I'm so glad you're here because you can bring great clarity. Can you tell us a little bit about the Sephardic Jews and how they were scattered because they went west?
I sure can.
Because the reason why I want to is because a lot of them, and a lot of people don't know this, are in the Caribbean.
They are.
In the islands.
And you're one of them. I know that.
I'm one of them.
I know that.
Because, you know, a lot of folk don't know that those roots are there. One of the first batches of slaves that came to Jamaica, they were the Sephardic Jews. It's documented.
And they're all over the Caribbean, South America, Central America, and even the South Central United States.
Wow.
And DNA testing is a factor in all this now.
People happy. I try to make people smile. My formula has always been the same: 60% to make you laugh, 30% to inspire you, and 10% whatever I'm selling. You have to be aware of what you're doing. And you have to be aware that sometimes when you put stuff out, not everybody's gonna like it. Some people are conscious, some people are not. I can tell he's not conscious. He doesn't really care what's going on. But us, I know that the game that we used to love and we promote, it brings people together. And it hurts me sometimes when we have to sit up here to talk about stuff that divides the game. Now we got to answer for what this idiot has done.
Shalom, shalom, Hebrews. Ron Dalton Jr. giving you a special announcement. This Thursday coming up, we're going to be at the Cityplex 12 Theater in Newark, New Jersey. If you haven't seen the first movie, well, actually, if you haven't seen the second movie, but you've seen the first movie, you need to come out to the Cityplex 12 Theater in Newark, New Jersey. We're going to be showing the movie Hebrews Negroes 2, Revelation, The Age of Awakening, hosted by the Bethel International Church under Dr. Gloria Harris. You want to come out, get your tickets before that date because we have a limited seats that are available.
And it hurts me sometimes when we have to sit up here to talk about stuff that divides the game. Now we got to answer for what this idiot has done. We got to answer for what this idiot has done. We got to answer for what this idiot has done.
First of all, Adam's Jewish. You can't take my $40 million and insult my religion. If you're going to insult me, you have the right, but I have the right to say, no, you're not going to take my $40 million and insult my religion. I think the NBA, they made a mistake. We have suspended people and fined people who have made homophobic slurs, and that was the right thing to do. I think if you insult the black community, you should be suspended or fined heavily, depending. I saw they did the same thing to the kid in Minnesota this year when he made the gay slur. I think you should get suspended or fined. I think him acknowledging the Alex Jones thing should have happened with that too, because that dude's crazy. And I can't believe that we ain't talking about that. We're talking about this idiot.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you.
Want to say peace and blessings to everyone. Let me make sure that my audio is correct before I continue. Let me make sure it's correct. All right. Want to make sure my audio is good. If my audio is good, give me a thumbs up. If my audio is good, want to apologize for my tardiness of getting online. I was trying to get these clips together, some additional screenshots. When you're doing a fact check, you have to do a lot of research just to make sure that the information that you're covering, you're actually doing a correct fact check. So a lot to cover. Some of this stuff is going to be pretty much almost like a refresher for you guys, because some of this stuff I've already covered in previous videos. And the reason why I'm doing this overview, this fact check, is because my friend, my buddy, comedian Moxie approved. We did live about 5 days ago. And thank you guys for the love and support. I believe the video has gotten almost, if not already past 100,000 views with the information that we shared. So we have a lot to cover. We're going to do as much as we can. I'm sure we're going to have to break some of this stuff up because I can't get it all in, because there's a lot. But I want to cover some major key points that has been talked about, right? And we're going to go over a refresher, because it's good to go over these free refreshers in terms of what anti-Semitism is from a academic perspective, but also from a perspective of the legal side of things. All right. So we're going to get right into it. That's why I cut down some of the intro, just so that way you guys we can have more time to go over the information and, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share the video. And again, we had great dialogue, Moxie and myself, over this. He gave his assessment on his critique about some of the things he saw in the movie, and I just gave a fact check of the movie. and additional things. So we are going to get into it, family. And I want to make this clear. I want to say this to anyone, to everyone that's watching. Let's be respectful in the comment section, because I know sometimes the comment section or the chat can turn into the OK corral. Moderators, you guys know what to do. If anyone is acting crazy, behaving crazy, posting all kinds of obscenities inside the chat, being a distraction, kick them out. Kick them out. Now, it's all right to have differences of opinion. That's fine. But let's not be rude. Let's not use profanity in our expressions when it comes to this information. When it comes to just being the people of the Most High, right? There's a certain reputation that comes with being the people of the Most High. There's a certain behavior if you understand the scriptures of being the people of the Most High. All right. So I just want to encourage everyone, let's be very respectable. All right. And should I say respectful? All right. But anyway, but appreciate you guys for tuning in. Hope you guys had a great Shabbat. And so with that being said, family, let's go ahead and get it in. And again, I want to say I apologize for the lateness. I apologize for the tardiness. I had a long day, but then, wanted to clean up the presentation a little bit. But I tell you, a lot of information. A lot of this information is going to really catch your eye. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let me stretch this out here. Let me stretch the screen out here like this. All right. And let's see here. Let's go ahead and get into it, family. Let's go ahead and get into it. Right. Now, I'm not going to really can't give much of a critique to the overall movie itself, because, it's easy to critique the quality of a movie when you're not the one that's actually putting it together, especially when you're working on limited resources. The movie was put together out of pocket. It's an independent film. And Ron Dalton, he put together the movie directly out of with his own resources. I would say the only critique I would have about the movie, the 3-hour movie, 3.5 hours to be exact, is that the monologue is, I believe, could be shortened down, and it can actually save. It'll save time. It'll remove some of the time, because I believe the monologue was almost 30 minutes in its length. And I think he could have kept that within 2 to 3 minutes. And then kind of anything he wanted to cover from the monologue, he could have, touched on it a little bit within the additional, within the video itself. That's the main critique I have for it, is just that, the introduction, the monologue, pretty lengthy. But I'm not going to critique the overall presentation, because again, it's easier being armchair next day Monday morning quarterbacks of a work that someone else has done, when you didn't do the work, when you didn't sacrifice your time and effort into putting together the presentation. And I know for me, I've done high level production, and it takes a lot, man. It takes a lot. It takes a lot, right? It takes a lot, especially for me. I do my own graphics. I do my own arrangements. When I put together these videos, and even you guys could tell, even with this PowerPoint, I have an outline, and then I go step by step, line by line, to make sure the outline covers what needs to be covered. So again, I'm not going to critique his video from that perspective, as far as creativity and all that. I didn't think it was a good critique by Candace Owens when she compared it to a PowerPoint presentation. And I just don't agree with that. But again, at least she took the time out to watch the movie. All right. And also my other critique is he showed some clips that was pretty lengthy. And I think he could have shrunk the clips down from old documentaries and just highlighted the parts that he wanted to highlight, and maybe provided a brief commentary over that. But outside of that, family, that's all I have to say about that, right? That's get into some Forrest Gump, right? That's all I have to say about that, right? But anyway, so let's go ahead and get into it, family, because I will say the book, if you coming into this awakening for the first time, it gives a lot of information, a lot of historical references and sources is contained within the movie, within the documentary. That if you are a geek, if you're a junkie for information, he's quoting a lot of sources within the movie, uh, and give you a lot to start off with. So I've gotten emails, I've gotten phone calls of those that know me from ministry, from when our ministry was still in Christianity. They reached out to me asking questions, right? So again, very appreciative to what the work that Ron Dalton has done and others that are doing to wake up our people, right? And moderators, just be on the lookout, because the trolls, they will come out with all kinds of uh, spamming, right? So with that being said, let's get into it, family. 16 minutes in, I don't want to take up too much time. That can be delegated to the actual presentation. All right, so here we go. I want to start off with Daniel chapter 7, verse 25, because it is imperative for us to understand, right? And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High. Think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of times, right? So many, when they teach this text right here, many will focus on the Shabbat, right? We know the Shabbat, the ancient Israelites, the followers of the way, Apostle Paul and all those guys, they honored the Shabbat. You can't get around it. We know that they honored the feast days, right? Apostle Paul taught, when you read his letter to the assembly in Corinth, he made it clear that the Messiah is our Passover lamb. And then he went on and said, let us honor the feast. So they were honoring the feast days, which is a Shabbat, right? We know Isaiah 56 makes it clear for the sons of strangers to honor the Shabbat and honor the feast days. The Shabbat, when he mentions about the covenant, right? The seventh day Shabbat is included in it. And then when you see Shabbats plural, we know that he's referring to the feast days. So here we see it says he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High. Family, this word saints, that is a Catholic word. That's a word of confusion. The proper understanding of this text, this is dealing with the holy people of Israel, has nothing to do with a church, has nothing to do with a religion, has nothing to do with Christianity, Catholicism, Judaism, has nothing to do with that. It deals with it. This is referring to the bloodline descendants of Israel. But then when it goes on to say, and to think to change times and laws, now we're getting into the instructions of the Most High. It's more to it than just referring to the Shabbat, right? It's more to it. And they shall be given into his hands until a time and times and the dividing of time. So wear out. Let's see what it means here, right? Balai means to fail, to wear out, decay, consume, use up completely. But then we also see to harass constantly. Now, I'm sure each one of you guys, when you came to the understanding of who you are and you began to share with loved ones, they began to harass you. They began to exhibit the behaviors that they try to point the fingers, like with the camps, right? Some of the camps out here that are standing on corners, and some of them being very belligerent to people. They try to compare you to that, when actually they began to behave the way that they try to point fingers at others. They began to slander you, defame you, saying that, hey, you one of those guys, right? So to harass constantly, right? And again, my wife's best friend, little sister, she younger sister, right? Not little sister, younger sister, because she's almost she's in her mid-30s. So yeah, so I'm not gonna say little sister, but in a nutshell, she watched the movie Hebrews to Negroes, and she decided, she made a post stating how she got a lot of questions. She had to rethink some things because she started doing her research on the sources that were shared. She made a post on Facebook, and pastors began to post all kinds of negative information, even using the acronym. Say, when they said to her, don't watch or purchase that BS. Come on, you supposed to be a pastor? You supposed to be a man of the Most High? Did everything to try to discourage her from moving forward on her journey. Right. So this is what many of you guys had to deal with this. I had to deal with this when I went to do the Black Lives Matter message there, when our assembly was still in Christianity, and I made a post. It's still on my timeline. Man, I had people that was pastors that I rubbed elbows to elbows, out laboring, evangelizing, helping them keep their ministry afloat. They made some comments about me on my own post. They began to harass me constantly for sharing the truth. They already knew that what I stood on, but then when they found out that I was going to speak at the Black Lives Matter, they had some choice words to say, and it wasn't good. They began to defame and slander me on my own platform, my own Facebook channel, not my platform, but profile, because I don't own Facebook. So it's not my platform. Right. So again, to harass. Okay. So anti-Semitism, right? What is anti-Semitism? I want to define this real quick, right? Because this is one of the things that Ron Dalton is accused of. He's accused of being an anti-Semitic person. Kyrie Irving was accused of being anti-Semitic, right? And I think I have the clip here of Kyrie's response to that. This is what Kyrie had to say.
It's unfortunate timing that we're in, but I'm glad that I could stand on the truth, because I'm not afraid of these mics, these cameras. I used to be looking everyone in the eye and telling them the truth, and I'm proud of who I am. Any label that you put on me, I'm able to dismiss because I studied. I know the Oxford Dictionary, you look it up, right? Just one of the biggest mistakes I had in being a kid was not knowing European or Western language until I started looking it up and understanding the definitions and why they say, if you want to trick a black person, put it in a book. I was wondering my whole life why they said that. Now I'm 30 years old and I know reading is a superpower because it helps me understand where I'm going and where I come from. Like a tree with roots.
Kyrie, the documentary listed among falsehoods. It said the Holocaust didn't happen. Do you believe the Holocaust
those falsehoods
happened?
are unfortunate. And it's not that I don't believe in the Holocaust. I never said that. I never, ever have said it. It's not come out of my mouth. I never tweeted it. I never liked anything like it. So the Holocaust in itself is an event that means something to a large group of people that suffered something that could have been avoided. No one said we had to practice racism. No one said we had to treat each other like garbage.
All right. So they were trying to paint that picture. And here's the last clip right here. I think this is the clip when he really goes in about anti-Semitism, when he said how can he be anti-Semitic when you have knowledge of self? Here it is.
Kyrie, for the record, do you have any anti-Semitic beliefs?
Again, I'm going to repeat. I don't know how the label becomes justified because you guys ask me the same questions over and over again. But this is not going to turn into a spin around cycle of questions upon questions. I told you guys how I felt. I respect all walks of life and embrace all walks of life. That's where I sit.
I think what people want to hear, though, is just a yes or no on that question. Yes or no.
I cannot be anti-Semitic if I know where I come from. I cannot be anti-Semitic if I know where I come from. I cannot be anti-Semitic if I know where I come from.
All right. So he made it clear he cannot be anti-Semitic when he know where he come from. So how in the world, he had to go through all this scrutiny because because of him making this comment right here, right? Give us a yes or no answer. He gave them more than a yes and no answer. They wanted him to say he's sorry and all this other stuff. He apologized, right, for those he may have hurt, but he made it clear that he's not anti-Semitic, right? So thank you, appreciate it. The Negro Experience. Thank you for the contributions. Really appreciate it, right? Thank you for the love and support of the platform. And I see you got the blackface Valentine's Day card up on your screen. I got some information I'm going to share on that. When I drop the Road to Savannah this upcoming week, it will drop within the week, family, and that is a promise. So I was trying to condense everything down to an hour and a half, but it's going to take more than an hour and a half. So I'm going to have to break it up into 2 parts. So I will drop part 2, breadcrumbs, this upcoming week. That is a promise. So let's give some love, show some love to the Negro Experience. Appreciate you. Thank you, my brother, for or sister, because I don't want to say brother or sister. I mean, say brother, you could be a sister. So I just want to thank you, family, for the love and support. My apologies if I, got it wrong in terms of your gender. My apologies. All right. So this is coming from the Britannica, right? Encyclopedia. And I'm sure all of you guys did like I did when you deal with anti-Semitic or Semitism. And for me, I did not think about going into the legal aspect of this word. All right. So appreciate it. My apologies, the Negro Experience brother. My apologies. So that's why I want to reiterate that. My apologies. Like the old school say, charge it to my head, not to my heart. All right. Appreciate you though. Thank you for the love and support. All right. So we're going to deal with the academic definition of this, and then we're going to deal with the legal side. And as we build up our fact check of Ron Dalton's book / movie, and you are going to be the people who's going to give clarity to say, hey, you know what, that is fact or fiction. You guys are going to be the final judge and jury based upon what you see and what I present, if these are valid critiques. All right. So I'm not going to sway you one way or the other. I'm just going to present the information to you. All right. So you are the jury. Okay. So anti-Semitism, hostility towards or discrimination against Jews as a religious or racial group. The term anti-Semitism was coined in 1879 by the German agitator Wilhelm Marr to designate the anti-Jewish campaigns underway in Central Europe at that time. Although the term now has wide currency, it is a misnomer. It goes on to say, simply it implies a discrimination against all Semites. Arabs and other peoples are also Semites. So this is making it clear it's not just the Jewish community as we know them are Semites. That's a whole nother discussion. We'll cover it shortly. But it says Arabs and other people are Semites. So everyone that's a descendant of Shem are Semites or Shemites. Right? You can't change that up. You can't designate that label on just a certain particular group of people. Every descendant of Shem is Shemitic or Semitic, however you want to use, whatever you want to use, whatever you're comfortable with using. All of them are Shemitic people. When you get to Eber, Ibar, right? When you get to Eber, right? When you get to him, all right, he is the progenitor of the Hebrews. So everyone underneath Hebrew that comes through the loins of Eber would be considered Hebrews. So when you get down to Abraham, all his descendants are Hebrews. But here's the kicker. Only one of his sons is the promised seed, which is Isaac. Isaac is the promised seed, but guess what? All of them are Hebrews. Then when you get down to Isaac's seeds, Esau and Jacob, right? Esau is a Hebrew. Jacob is a Hebrew, right? Even when you look at Lot's children, Abraham's nephew, Lot is a Hebrew. His descendants, the Ammonites and the Moabites, they are Hebrews. So Esau, he was a Hebrew. His children, Edomites, right? They are Hebrew. But there's only one Israel. Jacob, the descendants of Jacob are Israelites. Then when you go beyond that and we start getting into the word Judah, the transliterated Jew coming from Yahwadah or Yehudi, right? Not all of Israel can be Judah, right? Just like not all of Israel can be Issachar and the other tribes that are there. But anyway, so that's how you understand the tree of nations, that table of nations. So it says here, the term is especially inappropriate as a label for the anti-Jewish prejudices, statements, or actions of Arabs or other Semites, right? You can't refer to an Arab person as being a anti-Semitic person and others that are under this tree as being anti-Semitic. Now, if you want to say that the anti-Israel, that's a whole different narrative. If you want to say the anti-Judah, because you can't say they use the word Jew interchangeably with all of Israel, as I just pointed out. And I encourage you guys, if you haven't watched the videos, go through my channel. You will see some playlists there, and I believe it's under foundational. Look at the video I did titled Words of Confusion. Also look under documentaries and lectures. You'll see a full video of Benjamin Friedman, Facts or Facts, and he literally breaks down and gives you the deception behind the label. Okay, but anyway, Nazi anti-Semitism, which culminated in the Holocaust, had a racist dimension in that it targeted Jews because of their supposed biological characteristics, even those who had themselves converted to other religions or whose parents were converts. So this is telling you that even if you are a convert, you're not a blood descendant of Israel, you can still be covered under the umbrella of being of anti-Semitism. That's what this is saying. So supposed biological. So when it says supposed biological, when we go back to this article, let's go back here. It says had a racist dimension in that it targeted Jews because of their supposed biological characteristics. Supposed, right? So let's go to supposedly, right? Let's see what it says here. Let's see what it means here, right? In a nutshell, according to what someone told you or according to what is believed by many people to be true. That's what we're seeing right now. And we're going to get to the root of why there's so much anger right now. Kyrie Irving, the owner, said he's not anti-Semitic. The NBA, whatever you call it, commissioner, said that he's not anti-Semitic, but they extended his suspension beyond 5 games. Man, I just pray someone's in Kyrie Irving's ear telling him to lawyer up to sue these people because he has a credible lawsuit, because there's errors all through this. Right? So according to what someone told you, or according to what is believed by many people to be true. So just because there's a common census, right? Common sense doesn't mean that they are correct. Be careful when you tell your children have common sense. In other words, fall along with the crowd, fall in line with the crowd. So the etymology dictionary definition of Semitism, and I want to give Candace Owens props, because out of all the people, right, you didn't see Stephen A. Smith, you didn't see Malika Andrews, because Malika Andrews, her mother is Jewish. And you would have thought that she would have actually gone into these words. But that didn't happen because they all are on the payroll of ESPN. But you didn't see her going into the definition of it. You didn't see Shaquille O'Neal. All of these guys are educated people, but they never bring up the definition the academic definition of Semitic. They never bring this up. Denoting the language group that includes Hebrew, Arabic, Aramaic, Assyrian. But it goes on to say down here, in recent use, often with the specific sense Jewish, but not historically so limited. So historically, Semitic wasn't just it wasn't monopolized by the Jewish people as we know them of today, right? That's what this is saying here. In a modern sense, in recent often use of this word, it's telling us that the Jewish community as we know them hijacked it. So in recent use, often with the specific sense Jewish, but not limited, historically so limited. So when we go to the Oxford Dictionary, right, this is what it says. And they took this site down, right? I guess we were using it too much. It seemed like every time I recommend something, they take it down. So notice what it says here. It's confirming what we see at the Etymology Dictionary, but it takes it a step further. It says relating or denoting a family of languages that includes Hebrew, Arabic, Aramaic, and certain ancient languages such as Phoenician and Akkadian, constituting the main subgroup of the Afro-Asiatic family. So we see here that because now this word is being used not just as a group of languages, but also ethnicity. So Semitic is a subgroup of Afro-Asiatics. So we can't be anti-self. That's legal. So the Merriam-Webster Dictionary is going to confirm this as well. Of or relating to or constituting a subfamily of the Afro-Asiatic languages. Language family that includes Hebrew, Aramaic, Arabic, Amharic. That is the Ethiopian version of that comes out of ancient Hebrew. It was initially called Ga'az. Now it's called Ge'ez. Well, actually, now it's called Amharic. Ge'ez is not a proper pronunciation of the ancient language because they did not have E sounds. They did not have A sounds. They did not have U sounds. All they had was the Ah sound. And ancient Ga'az is the proper pronunciation. So Amharic. Then entry number 2, of, relating to, or characteristics of the Semites. But look at what we see at number 3. A word of confusion. Why is this even there? Right? Why is this even there? Because we see Hebrew here. So why is that even here? Why don't we include Esau here? So as far as the Edomites here, why don't we include Arabs here? Why don't we include the Ethiopian Hebrews here? Why don't we include the Bambara, the Igbos, the Yoruba? How come we don't see the other Hebrews that are listed here that are descendants of Israel? Why don't we see Arabic, even though they're not Israelites, right? Why don't we see that here? Why just this one group here and this word Jewish being used synonymous to all of Israel? Is it that all the other tribes doesn't matter? Just the southern kingdom, which is the Benjamites, along with Judah and later the Levitical priests, the Levites? Afro-Asiatic. This is a subgroup. Semitic is a subgroup. So here's the definition of Semite, right? And it takes it a step further. Notice what it says. Any member of a number of peoples of ancient Southwestern Asia, including the Akkadians, Phoenicians, Hebrews, and Arabs. See, family, when you start understanding how these words evolve over time, you can see the deception, the delusion in this. You can see the agendas behind these words as they morph, as they evolve over time. All right. So we see here entry number B, sub entry B, it says a descendant of these people. Wait a minute. So only these people right here? Nah, it's more to this here. But notice Hebrews, but they don't have Israel because Israel is still considered Hebrews. Israelites are a subgroup under Hebrews. The Edomites are subgroups under Hebrews. The Ammonites, the Moabites, are subgroups under Hebrews. All right. a descendant of these people. Okay. So again, you guys remember this, the origins of Africa's name. I'm just going to read this real quick, right? Who wrote a history of the Jews in agreement with the history of Moses. Their legislator relates that there were many sons born to Abraham by Keturah. But in a nutshell, this is saying how the name Africa, when you see here, Afar, Sarim, and Japhram, right? Down here you see, and that from the other two, Afar and Jabron, the country of Africa, took its name. So it's saying that the name of Africa comes from Abraham, which means that the name itself, according to the historian Josephus, is a Shemitic name. Just the name alone, Africa, Shemitic name. Okay. So let me see here. So let me show you this video here, and then we're going to get into some of the critiques here in a second here about the movie. But I want y'all to pay attention to this here. This is Malika Andrews. She had a rabbi on there. You guys remember this here. You guys voted, but we're going to do this again. Tell me if you believe that this rabbi read the book or watched the movie. And I can tell you emphatically, just based off of his response, he did not watch the book. I mean, read the, I'm saying it backwards, watch the movie, nor did he read the book. Here we go.
Why is the material in this book and film so deeply offensive?
Absolutely. So just here in Los Angeles, the Los Angeles City Council passed 2 days ago the definition of anti-Semitism according to the IHRA, which is the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance. And in that definition, it says that a perception of hatred to the Jewish community is the definition of anti-Semitism. Now, somebody asked, Charles Barkley asked me 2 days ago, have I read it or seen that movie? And so when he asked, I looked it up and I started seeing what those anti-Semitic tropes were. Number one, there's untruths there. And when untruths are then seen as truths to the next person, that leads to very dangerous consequences.
So he didn't read the book, nor did he watch the movie. He defaulted saying anti-Semitic tropes when he looked it up. What did he look up? The Rolling Stones article. He did not read the book. He did not watch the movie. He just, they fell in line with their talking points. That's all they did. They fell in line with their talking points. So let's go to get into the legal definition of anti-Semitism, because this is important. And I'm going to play a couple of clips by Kanye West as we get into this. But actually, I'm going to give you some of it now, and then we'll play a particular clip in a second here. So this is what the rabbi is quoting from, right? Giving you a definition of anti-Semitism. It says anti-Semitism is a certain perception. Come on, family. That's all it is. A perception when it all boils down, how the person perceives. So they can say, hey, if I look at them a certain way, he looked at me a certain way, all right, he's anti-Semitic. Or he walked past me, not stomping his feet, or anti-Semitic, or, anything. It's very subjective. Anti-Semitic is a certain perception. This is the legal definition of Jews, which may be expressed as hatred towards Jews. Rhetorical and physical manifestations of anti-Semitism are directed toward Jewish or non-Jewish individuals and or their property toward Jewish communities, community institutions, and religious facilities. All right. So anti-Semitism is a certain perception. So again, what is the legal definition of it? And these are some examples, as you see on your screen here. It gives you some examples here. I'm going to read the examples, and then we'll touch on a little of it, but we're going to continue on progressing for the book itself. It says, calling for, aiding, or justifying the killing or harming of Jews. In other words, often in the name of a radical ideology or an extremist view of religion. Making mendacious, dehumanizing, demonizing, or stereotypical allegations about Jews as such, or the power of Jews as a collective, especially but not exclusively the myth about the world Jewish conspiracy, or of Jews controlling the media, economy, government, or other societal institutions. So this is what Kanye West was referring to when he said he didn't know that he can be considered an anti-Semitic person. He knew the academic definition of it, but he didn't know the legal aspect of it. So let's play it real quick. We're going to line it right up here. Let's play it real quick of his comments, his interaction about it. So let's see here.
Anti-Semitic statements are never good for anybody, right? It's kind of like being anti-black.
But, you know, it's really interesting. I didn't realize that I could be considered anti-Semitic till I read one of the definitions of anti-Semitism. Look at this. The definition says, making mendacious, dehumanizing, demonizing, or stereotypical allegations about Jews as such, or the power of Jews as a collective, such as, especially, but not exclusively. This sounds like a, let it go by. What was that? All right, so it says, think about it, that sounds like the type of wording that's in the contracts, right?
Indeed.
Such as, especially, but not exclusively, the myth about a world Jewish conspiracy or of Jews controlling the media, economy, government, or other societal institutions.
But isn't that what you said? That Jews run everything?
Yeah, but that actually is considered to be anti-Semitic.
Right.
So I didn't realize that it was anti-Semitic to say, hey, you know, I have a Jewish attorney, I have a Jewish record label, I have a Jewish contractor, I have a
Do you
Jewish...
regret your statements? Or the statements you think you should be walking back? I mean, considering...
What do you mean walking back?
Well, you know, backing up off of them. I mean, the thing is, you've lost a lot of endorsements. People are dropping you. You're getting, you know, vilified. You know, I mean, you might think you're right, but I think, you know, there's a whole world out there that's condemning you for what you said.
All right, family. So Kanye West was reading out of the legal definition of anti-Semitic. That's what he was reading. He read this verbatim. This is what he was referring to. This is from state.gov. All right. It goes on to say, accusing Jews as a people of being responsible for real or imagined wrongdoing, committed by a single Jewish person or group, the state of Israel, or even for acts committed by non-Jews. So again, responsible for real or imagined wrongdoing. Interesting. Accusing the Jews as a people or Israel as a state of inventing or exaggerating the Holocaust. Accusing Jewish citizens of being more loyal to Israel or to the alleged priorities of Jews worldwide than to the interests of their own nation. So again, what is the legal definition of anti-Semitism? Right? When we go to the first one, it says justify calling for aiding or justifying the killing or harming of Jews. Right? This is why Kanye, right, got into a lot of trouble, right? Because he made this post here. Right? Waking up, I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. Right? DEFCON is a state of alert, right? But he said DEFCON, even though he gave clarity for his comments, but they still ran with it. They still made it as if he was rallying people to go after the Jewish community. He gave him a moment of opportunity, but he explained himself. He explained himself within a day or two after he made this post. This is what he said on the Drink Champs.
I talk about the left, the Democrats, and how they prey with BLM on our outrage. Mm-hmm. Even when I put up the DEFCON 3 tweet, I was outraged at this point.
What does DEFCON 3 mean? It's like level of
like actually when it's really DEFCON,
it's like nuclear war shit.
I spelled it wrong. I have a tendency to do that. But DEFCON is actually that you're preparing to protect yourself.
All right. So he gave clarity on exactly what he meant by it, but they didn't buy it. They were like, hey, they still kept that machine moving forward to blacklist him. But the real issue is not that. Truth be told, the issue is what he said or what he posted afterwards. The funny thing is, I actually can't be anti-Semitic because black people are actually Jews also. So he didn't even say that they weren't Israel. He said that he can't be anti-Semitic because black people are actually Jews also. That's the real issue that we're dealing with. That's why he is, he's getting raked through the coals, right, so to speak, through the fire, so to speak, because of him stating that we are the people of the book. So again, the legal definition of anti-Semitism. Notice the next bullet, right? Making mendacious, dehumanizing, demonizing, or stereotypical allegations about Jews as such, or the power of Jews as a collective, especially but not exclusively, the myth about a world Jewish conspiracy or of Jews controlling the media, economy, government, or societal institutions, right? And then when we go to this video here that I'm getting ready to play on your screen, this is what Kanye said.
Okay, so this right here is a chart of Universal Studios, 20th Century Fox, ABC News, CBS, CBS News, Columbia Pictures, Warner Brothers, ESPN Sports, Fox News, Washington Post, Metro Goldwyn Mayer, MTV Music Television, Nickelodeon, USA Today, Wall Street Journal, Comedy Central, NBC Entertainment, Google, what else do we have? Disney, ABC Kids and Family, YouTube, Los Angeles Times, Discovery Network, Paramount Pictures, Facebook, Huffington Post, Yahoo, Marvel, Hulu, Cosmopolitan, Time, Touchstone, Associated Press, Pixar, Miramax, HBO, New York Post, LucasArts, MSNBC, DreamWorks Animation. Now, the thing is, I skipped over maybe about 5 of them because it was just unclear on this list. The red are the executives that are Jewish at these companies.
Do you think they stuck together when they heard what you said? Was that what happened?
See, they changed their tune. First, they said, "Aren't you? Don't you feel bad because you're being banned and all these different things?" But once he gave them facts, they changed the stance. Oh, is this the reason why they all came together? Absolutely. So any allegations about Jews as such, or the power of Jews as a collective, especially but not exclusively, the myth about a world Jewish conspiracy or of Jews controlling the media. It's interesting how, for example, the Anti-Defamation League can point conspiracies to everyone else, but when you state the truth, oftentimes they label it as a conspiracy. When you state that you are the people of the book, they minimize it, and then they try to throw it up under that generic anti-Semitic label because you're claiming who you are. You come into the understanding of who you are, but they want to label it the way that they want to label it. Right? So I dropped the link in the comments section. I'm not going to go into the details of reading the article, but the article I dropped in the comment section is this right here. This article right here, Who Runs Hollywood, Come On. And this writer by Joel Osteen, who is a Jewish journalist, he, in a nutshell, confirmed exactly what Kanye pointed out. He's making it clear, yes, they do run Hollywood. That's what this article is stating. You have a link that you can go to and use it as a source, right? But I'm just going to read some of the names here that sound similar to what Kanye West was reading. His is more of an updated list and even more extensive. News Corp president Peter Chernin, Paramount says Jewish. Paramount Picture chairman Brad Gray, Jewish. Walt Disney co-chief executive Robert Iger, Jewish. Sony Pictures chairman Michael Linton, Surprise, Dutch Jewish. Warner Brothers chairman Barry Mayer, Jewish. CBS Corp chief executive Leslie Moonves, so Jewish that his great uncle was the first prime minister of Israel. MGM chairman Harry Sloan, Jewish. NBC Universal chief executive Jeff Zucker, mega Jewish. So he just went right down the list. He went right down the list. He said the Jews are so dominant that he had to really search hard to try to find non-Jews, so to speak, in these positions. He's clear about it, right? So he says as a proud Jew, I want America to know about our accomplishments. So this is something he's proud about. Something he's proud about. This is not a negative article. So he's showing you their influence, that they do run Hollywood. But yet Kanye West says it, or in the definition of anti-Semitism, right? Anyone that alludes to this is anti-Semitic. But yet we have a Jewish person here that is stating exactly what Kanye West and many of us have stated. But that's anti-Semitism. Right? It's anti-Semitism if you talk about the Middle East, saying that the Middle East, where it is not correct. But here it tells us in just the New York Times, nobody talked about the Middle East because neither the term nor the state and the region existed. Both were the work of the victors of war in World War I. Okay? And this is telling you here the term Middle East was coined in 1901 by Admiral Alfred Thayer Mahan, or Mahan, however you want to pronounce it. All right. So what is the legal definition of anti-Semitism? Going right back here. Accusing Jews as a people of being responsible for real or imagined wrongdoings committed by a single Jewish person or groups, the state of Israel, or even for acts committed by non-Jews. So the legal definition of anti-Semitism, right? Accusing the Jews as a people or Israel as a state of inventing, exaggerating the Holocaust. Accusing Jewish citizens of being more loyal to Israel or to the alleged priorities of Jews worldwide than to the interests of their own nation. Right? Is this anti-Semitic when you go to this source here? The Jewish Almanac, that they're now making it, it's becoming hard to get. I've been encouraging you guys for almost 10 years to get this book. Now it's hard to get it now. Strictly speaking, it is incorrect to call an ancient Israelite a Jew, or to call a contemporary Jew an Israelite or a Jew. The first Hebrews may not have been Jews at all. So this is considered anti-Semitic, according to their definition. Not by them. This is their own publication. But if we recite this, we are anti-Semitic. So accusing the Jews as a people or Israel as a state of inventing or exaggerating the Holocaust. So did Ron Dalton write in his book or state in his movie that the Holocaust did not exist? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. What did Ron Dalton actually write in his book or say in his movie that about the Holocaust, right? Excuse the typo, right? This is coming from his book. Right? In the movie, he never stated that the Holocaust did not exist. The reporters lied. They told a flat, right? My grandmother used to always say bald-faced lie, right? You know, old school, they come up with all kinds of terms. But let me give some shout outs here because I didn't see some of the contributions here. I want to say peace and blessings. Family, show some love for Yahuda Saley. Really appreciate it. Yahuwah richly bless you, Pastor Kelly, at We Woke Now. Thank you for this remarkable preaching. Really appreciate you. Thank you, family. Let's show some love for Yahuda Saley. Let's show some love for him, right? Also, let's show some love for Young Brew, right? Really appreciate it. The arrogance of the ish is so strong that no one can see past their programming, right? They really have a major influence, right? You know, and now it's to the point, you know, they're in your face with it. So let's show some love as well for Young Brew. Thank you, Young Brew. Really appreciate the contributions, right? Really appreciate it. But again, family, we gotta really come together like never before, regardless of our differences, right? We got to come together. We have to come together. So again, there's not a single line of text, right? But notice this reporter brought this up to Kyrie Irving. Let me play it one more time. This reporter should be fired. This reporter should be held, somebody should be pressing charges on this reporter. This reporter should be fired. This reporter that asked this question, this reporter should be fired for making this false accusation. This is what he said.
It's unfortunate timing that we're in, but I'm glad that I could stand on the truth because I'm not afraid of these mics, these cameras. I used to be looking everyone in the eye and telling them the truth, and I'm proud of who I am. Any label that you put on me, I'm able to dismiss because I studied. I know the Oxford Dictionary, you look it up, right? Just one of the biggest mistakes I had in being a kid was not knowing European or Western language until I started looking it up and understanding the definitions and why they say, if you want to trick a black person, put it in the book. I was wondering my whole life why they said that. Now I'm 30 years old and I know reading is a superpower because it helps me understand where I'm going and where I come from. Like a tree with roots.
Kyrie, the documentary listed among falsehoods, it said the Holocaust didn't happen. Do you believe the Holocaust
those falsehoods
happened?
are unfortunate. And it's not that I don't believe in the Holocaust. I never said that. Never.
Family, that is a complete lie. I'm calling it what it is. I went back over and watched that 3.5-hour movie and went through the book. That is a blatant lie. That reporter should be fired. We as a people, we should be rallying together, just like how they are rallying together to try to cancel us. We should be canceling them. Cancel Nike, cancel Adidas, cancel everyone that's coming against, cancel the movies that these actors in Hollywood that formed this petition, over 200 actors and actresses trying to get Amazon to get this movie taken down. Boycott all of them. Boycott the NBA. Don't even buy a single jersey. Don't watch the NBA. If you have a subscription, whether it's by way of Amazon or YouTube, if you have a subscription to the NBA channel, the NBA games, cancel your subscription. Cancel your subscription. Blatant lies. That reporter is a blatant liar. A blatant liar. All right. So I just want to make sure you guys understand. Family, we got to start sticking together, man. We got to be one voice. We can't have people trickling doing things over here and people doing over here. We have to be one voice. So that is a blatant lie. But let me show you what Ronald Dalton actually said about the Holocaust. Right. But according to the anti-Semitic laws, yes, he could be called anti-Semitic because I'll show you here. Notice what he says here, but he used a source. He used a Jewish source. The Jews have established 5 major falsehoods which work to conceal their nature and protect their status and power, to wit. Number 1, the Jews are Israelites, in other words, Hebrews, and thus God's chosen people. Number 2, Christ was a Jew. Jesus, did Mary practice Judaism? Jesus' stock was of Levi, Aaron, and other through Mary, and Judah through Joseph. Number 3, that 6 million Jews were killed in the Holocaust during World War II. Many sources and scholars have proven that there were less than 250,000 Jews living in Europe at that time of the Nazi Third Reich rule. This number was fabricated and was believed to be true by the Jewish-controlled media in America. But that will be considered anti-Semitic, and I'll show you why. Because it says questioning the numbers, basically, of stating that the numbers, that 6 million is an exaggerated number, basically. Let's go back here just to make sure you guys understand. Let me go back here, right? Let me make sure I quote it here. Accuse the Jews as a people or Israel as a state of inventing or exaggerating the Holocaust. So Ron Dalton, he's pointing out that 6 million is not an accurate number. It's a fabricated number. That is anti-Semitism according to the definition. Number 4, that all people are equal. All people are not equal in the religion of Judaism. We are considered goyim or goy, just like cattle. Goyim is plural. Goy is singular, just like cattle. Number 5, the Jews are just another religious group. The Jews today are Europeans whose ancestors converted from paganism, right? Or pagan religions to Judaism religion. All right. So they converted from paganism to Judaism, to the Judaism religion. Being a Jew, which is a follower of Judaism, is basically a religion. The race of anybody practicing Judaism varies by country. Therefore, the Jews are just a religious group, not a race. Quoted by Ashkenazi Jew Harold Wallace Rosenthal. Right. So let's go to the Rosenthal document, right, which is referred to as the hidden tyranny, the issue that dwarfs all other issues. This is an interview, right, someone did of Harold Rosenthal, who a month later was killed in a terrorist attack. This is the interview. And we'll touch on this a little more, but we're going to go a little deeper in this than what I presented earlier. I'm going to show you a few additional things that really should have you thinking a little more about the methodology, the way, the approach of how the Anti-Defamation League and other groups handle those that are making allegations against their community. Right. But it says here the Jews have established 5 major falsehoods. This is coming from the source, which work to conceal their nature and protect their status and power, to wit. The Jews are Israelites and thus God's chosen people. Jesus Christ was a Jew. That 6 million Jews were killed in a Holocaust during World War II. That all races are equal, or that all are brothers. And number 5, that the Jews are just another religious group. So the question is, did Ron misquote this? No, Ronald Dalton quoted this line by line. So we have a couple of things that we have to give clarity to since we fact checking, right? So Ronald Dalton actually used this source, even though there's other sources, but use this source. Right. Matter of fact, if you really want to, I don't have my book in front of me. I don't have my bag in here. I left my bag in the other room. So when I show a video clip, I may run and get my bag real quick. So that book that I share with you, the Jewish Almanac, go through that book. It talks about the victims in the Holocaust, and we're not here to minimize or disrespect those that died in the Holocaust. We don't condone those actions of any innocent people losing their lives. We're dealing with education. We're dealing with, as we're dealing with tonight, with fact checking. All right. But this is not a form of disrespect. Right. So who is Harry Rosenthal? Right. Why are there coins? And we're going to get to Harry Rosenthal. But right now, right, why are there coins with prior to the Holocaust? Man, excuse the type. I should have went back over and corrected this. I keep forgetting to do that. I'm a matter of fact, let me correct this right now. Right. So that way, if I have to touch on this in the future, I'm not apologizing again for my my grammar here. And I can't adjust it here because I got these things in front of it. So I'm gonna have to blame Jay Highstyle for the reason why my stuff is all jacked up here. Right. Jay Highstyle, it's been a while since I pointed the fingers at you. So I'm pointing the fingers at you tonight. All right. But anyway, why are there coins with coins prior to the Holocaust that has both the Nazi swastika and the Zionist symbol, the Star David, on them? Why is it? Right. This is the front side of the coin. This is the rear side of the coin. This is coming from Germany. Right. When you understand Germany, right, when you start understanding what Whoopi Goldberg said, Whoopi said, hey, that the situation in with Hitler and the Jews, the Ashkenazi Jews, was not a race war. It was a war, of course you made it clear it was acts against humanity. But the key is she said it wasn't a race. It wasn't a race war. Why? Because they both are part of the same race. They both are Caucasians. So the question is, why do we see the swastika? Because the Nazis was a political party in Germany. And the Zionists was a political party in Germany. So why do we see these two political groups on the same coin? That's the question that we should be seeking answers for. But again, showing this information can be considered anti-Semitism. Right? That's right, Jay Heisa. You knew it was coming, right? It was long overdue, right? It was long overdue, right? So let's continue on here. Now, these are some articles. You guys probably remember me showing this in the last time I did this presentation, but periodically, every now and then, I pull these presentations out, these news articles out, because we'll see that well before the Holocaust, 30 years prior to the Holocaust, we see the number 6 million being put out there about the situation. We see here 6 million Jews. 6 million Jews says 6 million Jews will need help to resume normal life when war is ended. Right? And this is the original article from the New York Times, October 18th, 1918. Well before the Holocaust, Ukraine Jews aim to stop pogroms. September 8th, 1919. We still see the same thing. 6 million are in peril. Said 127,000 Jews have been killed. 6 million in peril. United States has given what? Over at least $60 billion to Ukraine. At least $60 billion. Right? But anyway, that's that, just thought I'd throw that little tidbit in there. So Ukrainian Jews aim to stop pogroms. This is the actual article, the archive article that's on the New York Times page. We see it again. Another article, the sad plight of the Jews. But the key is, says here, disease, about 6 million souls, or half the Jewish population of the earth. So they're saying at this time in 1919, there was basically 12 million Jewish people around the world, and half of them in this location, they had to worry about dying. It says about 6 million souls, or half the Jewish population on earth, are dealing with poverty, starvation, and disease. And this is the actual article. May 7th, 1920. Same thing. Same exact thing. 6 million face horrifying conditions of famine. This is the article right here. You still see that theme. Why are these articles important? Why? Because the Jewish community began to promote the narrative of 6 million Jewish victims 30 years before the Holocaust. 30 years before the Holocaust. But no questions are being asked. This is, and according to them, this is anti-Semitism if you ask questions on the accurate numbers. What? So they had the privilege to saying, hey, if you question our history, guess what? That's anti-Semitism. But they can question our history. They can go publicly and say, we're not the people of the book. But that's not anti-Semitism. What? Yes. We can't ask questions. We have to keep our mouths shut. That's anti-Semitism if you're questioning the 6 million number. That's anti-Semitism. Showing this article here is anti-Semitism. Poland agrees to change Auschwitz tablets. As you see here, it's telling us that the Jewish community of Poland, they have been trying to get the numbers corrected For over 50 years, it says after 50 years of deflecting the request of Jewish groups, the Poland government has agreed to change the wording. And it goes on to say more than 1 million Jews died during World War II. That's a reduction of the numbers. But if we point it out, that's anti-Semitism. They can write it. They can say it. But if we said what they said, then we're anti-Semitic. Current plaques do not fully reflect the suffering of Jews there and focus too heavily on the camp's non-Jewish victims. Wait a minute. So it's saying the 4 million number focused more on those that were non-blood relations to the Jewish people. Whoa, so that's telling you most of the people at that time, that 4 million number, according to this article, were most of them were not blood descendants connected to these Jewish people. But it says, while thousands of Jews were among the estimated 1.5 million killed at Auschwitz, the victims were predominantly Jewish. So it reduced, but even at 1.5 million numbers, it's not all Jewish people. That's why it says predominantly. It says most of them, right? But here's the tablets to the left on your screen. I'm going to zoom it in. 4 million people suffered and died here at the hands of the Nazi murderers between the years 1940 and 1945. Then we go to the right? It tells us right here, 1.5 million men, women, and children, mainly Jews, from various countries of Europe, right? 1940 to 1945. It's right in our face. It's right in our face. But this will be considered anti-Semitism. This is anti-Semitic right here, showing these truths. All right, come on, family. Let's not have side conversations. We don't need to be talking about the woman king. The woman king. We don't need to do that. I'm putting whoever I see talking about the woman king, I'm putting it in timeout, right? Because we're having a discussion here, right? Don't want to deal with the no woman king. We're having a discussion on something that's aside from that. We don't need these side conversations. That's a distraction. Come on, family. Let's not be disrespectful to those that are trying to learn. Leave that woman king stuff alone. Yes, I made a post about the woman king, right? Of those that have been talking about the woman king. Hey, the woman king is promoting feminism and all this other stuff. So many falsehoods, but then the same people gonna go out here and promote the Black Panthers. Some of you guys probably got your Black Panther suits, and I want to make this clear. I love the women in our community. Yes, in the scripture, there are women leaders in our community. So I want to make that clear. But let's leave that conversation, save it for another time. Let's stop with the distractions. Let's focus on what we the task at hand. Provide your inputs on here. All right. So if I see anything about the woman king, guess what? I'm putting you in timeout so that way you can't make any comments. All right. And if you continue on, then I'm just going to boot you out the chat because that's disrespectful. All right. So here we go. Let's get back into it. This is more important than talking about the woman king right now. Anyway, you guys already had that discussion. So have it another time if you want to have it further that discussion. We're not having it tonight. Okay, so let's go to that Rolling Stones article and we're going to continue to fact check Hebrews to Negroes. Rolling Stones, John Blistine, Kyrie Irving boosts anti-Semitic movie peddling Jewish slave ships, right? And notice what it says here. Noted free thinker and basketball player Kyrie Irving took to Twitter to boost a movie and book, Hebrews to Negroes, stuffed with anti-Semitic tropes. That is the buzzword. Even Stephen A. Smith, talking about using this term anti-Semitic tropes, but he didn't watch the movie. We see a bunch of sellouts right now in Hollywood and the NBA. All of these guys got a little bag. They was given a little bag. And these guys are the biggest sellouts right now. Major disappointments from LeBron James. All of them now, they're trying to change their tune now because the heat is being brought to them. Man, cancel all of them. Cancel all of them. Every last one of them. The 2018 film was directed by Ronald Dalton and based upon his 2015 book of the same time. Now you're going to see some gaslighting here because this author flat out lied. Ronald Dalton needs to sue this person here. He needs to sue the Rolling Stones. He needs to sue this journalist. He needs to sue ESPN. He needs to sue the NBA. He needs to sue the Anti-Defamation League. He needs to go right down the list and press charges on all of them, but starting with the Rolling Stones. Kyrie Irving need to sue these guys. Throw that apology right back at them. You take a stand. You could get more money because they defamed your name. You may not ever play. You may get blacklisted, but at least take that stand. Do like Kaepernick did. At least Kaepernick took a stand. Knew that he was going to be blacklisted, and guess what? He's not in the league. I don't even like to use the term blacklisted. Whitelisted. Right? Kicked him out the league. He sacrificed his career. He didn't go back and say he was apologizing for taking a knee. Come on, family. Come on, Kyrie. Come on, those that are taking a stand. I give Ye credit. At least he didn't waver. He's still taking a stand. I give Candace Owens because she came out boldly and stood up for both of them. But what happened to the rest of these guys? Now they want to switch over. Yeah, Skip. Yeah, Skip. I go in on Kyrie, Skip. I go in on Kyrie. I'm one of the hardest ones on Kyrie. Shannon Sharp. I'm one of the hardest one on Kyrie. But Skip. I cannot do it on this one. I think that they are going overboard with it. I think they're going overboard. The New Jersey Nets is going overboard, Skip. I can't support this, Skip. Come on. Kyrie brought it on himself, Skip. Come on, family. These are a bunch of hopping bobs, man. Let me pull my hopping bob out here. These hopping bobs and hopping bobettes. I never thought that I would live to see the day that I'm actually defending and bigging up Candace Owens. I have to give it to her. And family, you can hate on her all you want, but guess what? She did something that none of these guys did. She didn't throw Kanye West under the bus, nor did she throw Kyrie Irving up under the bus. So let's give him the hopping bob.
This is hopping Bob. You run afoul of Bob, you run afoul of me. I'm tired, boss.
He said it's too hot, boss. He tired.
Too hot. He tired. You tell that lazy jigaboo the state of Mississippi I ain't interested in his meteorological assessment.
Listen up, jigaboo. State of Mississippi ain't interested in your meteorological assessments.
You tell him the state of Mississippi is only interested in getting this here ditch cleared by sundown.
State of Mississippi wants this here ditch cleared by sundown. You got that, boy.
Got it. He don't sound like he from around here.
He from New York City, boss. He from New York City, boss.
Yeah, family, we giving out a lot of garbage can awards, right? I'm going to have to get me a new garbage can, right? So think about this, family. Think about this. These guys are straight sellouts, man. Selling out our own people, selling out their own brothers and sisters. The big Aristotle or the big contradiction, the big contradiction. Notice no one said anything. Shaq never addressed
it.
It
hurts me sometimes when we have to sit up here to talk about stuff that divides the game. Now we got to answer for what this idiot has done. We got to answer for what this idiot has done. We got to answer for what this idiot has done.
First of all, Adam's Jewish. You can't take my $40 million and insult my religion. If you're going to insult me, you have the right, but I have the right to say, no, you're not going to take my $40 million and insult my religion. I think the NBA, they made a mistake. We have suspended people and fined people who have made homophobic slurs, and that was the right thing to do. I think if you insult the black community, you should be suspended or fined heavily, depending. I saw they did the same thing to the kid in Minnesota this year when he made the gay slur. I think you should get suspended or fined. I think him acknowledging the Alex Jones thing should have happened with that too, because that dude's crazy. And I can't believe that we ain't talking about that. We're talking about this idiot.
So you hear this knucklehead, you hear this hopping Bob, like he gave Kyrie Irving $40 million out of his pocket. Right? The NBA commissioner didn't give money out of his pocket. That came out of the Nets owner pocket. That's the New Jersey Nets. And he is from China. These are straight hopping Bobs. Oh yeah, we're you know, Kyrie Irving, straight terrible. Kyrie Irving, we gave him money. We gave him our $40 million, $40 million. And we gave him $40 million. Straight terrible. Kyrie Irving is straight. He's an idiot. He's just an idiot. We gave him $40 million of our money. You ain't give him a single dime. Charles Barkley. Don't hear you talking about some of the other issues with some of the other people. Didn't hear you talking about what happened to Breonna Taylor. Don't hear you talking about what happened to, Tamar Rice. Don't hear you talking about what happened to Trayvon Martin. Don't hear you talking about any of those things, but you want to talk about this. Don't hear Shaq talking about it. Yeah, just what you talking about, what happened, Chuck, what happened to Trayvon Rice. He didn't talk about Trayvon Rice. Oh yeah, Chuck, let's talk about, what happened to, we just want to talk about what happened to Breonna Taylor. No, you will never find an audio clip on that. But yet these guys want to bash their own brothers and sisters. We's tired, boss. Anyway. So back to this article. All this gaslighting. So what he did was he took all the talking points that you could find on the Southern Poverty and the church themselves, they call themselves Christian apologists, took all these talking points, right, and laid it on. Used that to set up his narrative to go at Ronald Dalton. Made sure his readers, right, would look at this and automatically have a nasty, or should I say a negative view of Ron Dalton, or negative view of the material of the book, and also give them that fire that they wanted, that mob to go after Kyrie Irving, but ultimately go after this awakening. He just laid it on here. Notice what he says here. A description for the film states that it uncovers the true identity of the children of Israel, while a similar one for the book reads, since the Europeans and Arab slave traders stepped foot into Africa, blacks have been told lies about their heritage. Guess what? We've been told lies. He's not lying about this. Both suggest Hebrews and Negroes espouses ideas in line with more extreme factions of the black Hebrew Israelites. Now, can we say the same thing? We could say the same thing about the ADL and some of these groups. They fall right in line with the KKK, with some of the things that they saying about our community. Like they falling right in line with the KKK and with the blackface and all those different things that they have done with our community, using the word cushy as the N-word. We could say the same thing about them. We could put them right in the line of the KKK. And by the way, do you know that there was some Jewish people that was part of the KKK? Do you know that it was over 5 million Protestants from the church that joined the KKK back in the late 19th century, going into the turn of the 20th century? They were lynching our ancestors, our brothers and sisters. Do you know that? Do you know that the Jewish community weren't just slave owners? They weren't just auctioneers. They weren't just major players in the slave trade. They weren't just the banking system. Guess what? They were some that was part of the Confederacy. Guess what? You see Jews that's really pushing Democrats, even though they're on both sides of the house. But the Democrats, well, guess what? The Democrats were the ones that was all about slavery. And guess what? The Jewish community benefited wholesomely from slavery. They were part of the ones that was saying, hey, we don't want to give up this our money like that. We don't want to give up our gravy train like that. We want to keep them in the, come on, family. They got reparations. Those not just those those white people that non-Jewish per se, all of them got compensation when slavery ended. All of them got compensation from this government when slavery was ended. Look it up. Come on, family. We should be calling some names to this craziness that's going on. Come on, family. Let's knock this stuff out here. I don't know why this came up on here. Let's knock this foolishness up. I hope the moderators already caught it. All right. All right. See, like I said, this is when the trolls come out, when we sharing truth like this. All right. So let me go ahead and take this off the screen, family. But appreciate it. Azariah bin Yehuda, appreciate your comments. All right. Moderators, let's make sure. I know we're getting a lot of trolls tonight. Actually, every time we do certain presentations, they just come out. All right. The bots are going crazy out here. All right. So notice what they say here. Both suggest Hebrews to Negroes espouses ideas in line with more extreme factions of the Black Hebrew Israelites, which have a long history of misogyny, homophobia, xenophobia, Islamophobia, especially anti-Semitism. They got some other phobias up in here. We could say StreamYard phobia. We could say Zoom phobia. We could say, man, they got all they threw everything, including this kitchen sink, this particular writer here, to stir up the emotions of those that are reading this, to do that gaslighting, right? Black Hebrew Israelite movement is fairly broad, comprising, organization that, per the Anti-Defamation League, operate semi-independently. The movement generally, coalesces around the notion that Black people are the real descendants of the ancient Israelites. Said that, we in a nutshell, the notion that we are, right? So that's what that is anti-Semitism. But it wasn't just us saying that we the real people of the book, right? I got plenty of clips. I just don't show them, but plenty of clips of Caucasians stating that we are the people of the book. But the notion that Black people are the real descendants of the ancient Israelites, the notion, I hope y'all pay attention to this. Come on, ADL, talk about the Limbas. Come on, ADL, talk about the Igbo people. Come on, talk about some of the other tribes, the Yorubas. Talk about the Ethiopian Israelites. I don't want to just say Jews, Israelites. Talk about all of them. Talk about the philosophers. I mean, just go right down the list. Let's talk about them. Talk about the Native Americans that James Adair discovered here inside here. Some Native Americans that was writing Hebrew, speaking Hebrew culture here in the United States well before any of these ships from Spain landed here. Come on, family. Come on, family. We got to call this stuff out. I'm going to give you up. We're going to touch on a couple of things here that they won't touch on. They won't touch on this video that I play every time, and I do it purposely. I do it purposely. They won't touch on this video right here.
I'm so glad you're here because you can bring great clarity. Can you tell us a little bit about the Sephardic Jews and how they were scattered because they went west?
I sure can.
Because the reason why I want to is because a lot of them, and a lot of people don't know this, are in the Caribbean.
They are.
In the islands.
And you're one of them. I know that.
I'm one of them.
I know that.
Because, a lot of folk don't know that those roots are there. One of the first batches of slaves that came to Jamaica, they were the Sephardic Jews. It's documented.
And they're all over the Caribbean, South America, Central America, and even the South Central United States.
Wow.
And DNA testing is a factor in all this now.
See, you don't hear them saying anything about that, family. You don't hear them talking about that. You don't hear any of this coming up in discussion. Why don't we hear it? Why don't we hear it? Come on, Anti-Defamation League. Why don't we hear? Why only thing we hear, if we do hear something about Israelites, is Black Jews. In other words, converts to Judaism. Come on, family. Why don't we hear about that? Why don't we hear about that? Why don't we hear about the going into the more detailed understanding Southern poverty? Who came up with terms of Black identity extremists, used terms of Black Hebrew Israelites and using Black Jews. Let's talk about the Limbas. Let's talk about the Igbos, who was confirmed by the Obadiah Alliance. Let's talk about some of the other Israelites throughout Africa that have been confirmed. How come we don't talk about them? But we have to hear the label Black Jews, right? To limit the numbers, right? Converts, aka Amari Stoudemire, converted over to Judaism. Anyway, so it goes on to say here, the movement generally coalesces around the notion that Black people are the real descendants of the ancient Israelites, with more extreme factions claiming that Blacks, like, notice what it says, with more extreme factions claiming that Black people have been robbed of their identity as being God's chosen people via the Southern poverty law. Absolutely, we have been robbed. We've been robbed, especially those that have done your DNA. And you see Limba when you go to Jet Match and you see some of the other groups there, or when you go to 23andMe and you see Igbo on your results, when you go to, Ancestry and you start seeing some of those West African tribes, guess what? You know that they're Shemitic people because you confirmed it. You go to My Ancestry, My True Ancestry, and you see some of those tribes that have been confirmed. Come on, that's not assumptions. How come the Southern poverty don't list those things there? Robbed of their identity as being God's chosen people. It is those extremist sects that have often parroted classic anti-Semitic tropes that, like claiming European Jews, often referred to as the synagogue of Satan, wield outsized control over society, especially in the industry like the banking and media. In the media, they've also pushed anti-Semitic claims that Jews are responsible for slavery and the infeminizing of Black men. At one point in the purported documentary, Irvin shared, Dalton, who also narrates the film, brings up the real truth about the slave trade. We already dealt with this, but he claims. But before we get to this point, family, let me bring up a little nugget here. I wasn't going to do this, family. Because this is some of the stuff coming in that's from the road to Savannah. But let me just show you a little nugget here. This is going to be in the road to Savannah. I'm trying to get it in part 2. If not, it will definitely be in part 3. Let me show you a little nugget because I got all kinds of maps and everything. But let me show you a little nugget here that that I've had this for years, but I'm putting it in road to Savannah. I haven't made a lot of these sources public. But let me bring it up here. Let me see here. Let me pull it up here. Let me pull up a quick source here. All right, let's see here. I think it's this one. Is this not still away? Let me see which one is here. I got so many presentations, family. Let's see here. That's not it. Let me see which one is it. This one. I want to share just one little nugget with you guys to encourage you guys to be ready for the road to Savannah. Let me show you a little nugget here. All right, let's see here. And we'll get back to this here. Let me show you a little nugget here. Right? Let me show you a little nugget here. Let me show you a little nugget here. Let me pull this up here. There's so many sources out here, family. Let me show you this here. Let me show you this here. All right. Let me see here. Bear with me 1 second. All right. Let me show you something. Let me show you a quick nugget, and then I will get back to our scheduled program here. Let me see here. All right. All right. Y'all see what's on the screen, family? Y'all see what's on the screen, right? This is the Encyclopedia of the Diaspora, Yale University, page 9. And notice what you see listed here. This is dealing with the Israelites scattered abroad. Notice what you see here. Ethiopian Jews, Israel. Wait a minute. We see Afro-American. Notice what it says. Israel is telling you where they're scattered at. Afro-Americans, Israelites. Uh-oh. 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 You know I got to throw a little geek mode in here. I've been having this for quite some time. This is going into the Road to Savannah. I'm sharing some sources on Road to Savannah. But guess what? Uh-oh. This is coming from the Encyclopedia of the Diaspora, Yale University. Afro-Americans? Israel? Let's give it a 3-piece for all these lies out here. In university, this source right here is considered to be anti-Semitic. All right. So let's go back into the other lesson. I just thought I share that with you guys. So let me stop that presentation here. Let me pull this other one up. I just thought I'd share a little nugget with you, but let me get back to our scheduled programming here. Let's see here. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. All right, I'll say it again. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share this. If you have a YouTube platform, share this video on your platform. Even if you don't have a platform, but you just have a YouTube, share it. If you have a Facebook, share it. Family, get this word out. Family, come on now, get this word out. So let's go ahead and deal with this real quick. It says here, he claims, like Ron Dalton, he claims that when teaching slavery, schools don't mention the involvement of the Catholic Church, the Arabs, East Africans, Islamic traders, slave traders, the Jewish slave ships that brought our West African Negroes or Bantu ancestors to slave ports owned by Jews. So are they trying to say that they didn't own? See how he lumped everything under one sentence. But guess what? All of them, from the Catholic Church, these Arabs to we could go right down the list. Some of the East Africans, work with these guys. That was not selling their own people. Let's get it twisted. I mean, don't get it twisted. It wasn't Negroes selling Negroes into slavery, blacks selling blacks into slavery, because race is a deceptive construct. It was those that was not part of that tribe selling people that was not part of their tribe into slavery. The wandering shepherds, the wandering sheep herders. Anyway, so he's saying that these are extreme claims. As if the Catholic Church didn't have slaves, as if the Arabs didn't have slaves, which is still going on. The Arabic slave trade still going on. As if none of this is true. But again, you guys remember this book, The Jews and Judaism in the United States, a documentary history, Rabbi Mark Lee Raphael, 1983. Notice again, he said here, Jews also took an active part in the Dutch colonial slave trade Indeed, by the bylaws of the Recife Mauritia congregations, 1648 included an imposta, in other words, a Jewish tax of 5 soldos for each Negro slave a Brazilian Jew purchased. From the West Indies Company, slave auctions were postponed if they fell on a Jewish holiday. In Correcchio, I hope I pronounced it correctly, or Caraccio, and I'm not going to butcher it, in the 17th century, as well as in the British colonies of Barbados and Jamaica in the 18th century. Jewish merchants played a major role in the slave trade. In fact, in all the American colonies, whether French, British, Dutch, Jewish merchants frequently dominated. Let me say that again. Jewish merchants frequently dominated. For those that are trolling, for those that don't want to accept this fact, let me say it in slow motion for you. Slow mo. Jewish merchants frequently dominated. For the people in the back. So again, Jewish merchants frequently dominated. This was no less true on the North American mainland, where during the 18th century, Jews participated in the triangular trade that brought slaves from West Africa to the West Indies, and there exchanged them for molasses, which in turn was taken to New England and converted into rum for sale in Africa. Isaac da Costa of Charleston, South Carolina in the 1750s, David Franks of Philadelphia in the 1760s, Aaron Lopez, Newport News, this is Virginia, in the late 1760s, in the early 1770s. Notice what it says: dominated Jewish slave trading on the American continent. And these European outposts, Jews, with their years of mercantile experience and networks of friends and family providing market reports of great use, played a significant role in the merchant capitalism, commercial revolution, territorial expansion that developed in the New World and established the colonial economics. Right? The Jewish Caribbean nexus provided Jews with the opportunity to claim a disproportionate influence in the 17th and 18th century New World commerce and enabled the West Indies Jewry, far outnumbering its core religionists. Y'all better stop waiting for this New World Order. The New World Order is here, full speed ahead. Y'all keep talking, some of you guys that keep talking about this New World Order. You've been under the New World Order. Our ancestors were kidnapped. Right? They were raptured, right? They helped, because of being kidnapped, because of the atrocities, right? They were used to spearhead and bring about this new world order of commerce. Man, the new world order been in place. Y'all have to stop looking at history from a European mindset. World War II already happened. We're reading about a world war, family. Come on now. Come on, let's stop it. Y'all got me sounding like Dawson. I'm sounding like Dawson. This is Dawson, and I won't hold back. Y'all know that guy Dawson who come out with all kinds of stuff happening in the church. This is Dawson, and I won't hold back. Anyway. All right, let's continue. All right. Goes on to say, right, where I want to get to. Right? Well, family, we don't have to go through all of this, but you already see this. They possess more than 40 estates. Right? Now, let's go back a little bit. Right? Just telling us in 1694, right? 27 years after the British had surrendered Suriname to the Dutch, there were about 100 Jewish families and 50 single Jews there, or about 570 persons. They possessed more than 40 estates and 9,000 slaves. They dominated, family. Jews owned 115 plantations and were a large part of the sugar export. So we see it here. It says again, slave trading was a major feature of Jewish economic life. Records of a slave sale in 1707 revealed that the 10 largest Jewish purchasers spent more than 25% of the total funds exchanged. Then when we go to slavery in the Catholic Church, because we just covered the Jews, right? Now we could go ahead and get the Arabs, we could go ahead and get the Catholics, we could go ahead and get the Christians all at one time. Pope, Papa. Grants the kings of Portugal, giving authority to enslave these Saracens and other non-Jewish Christians of West Africa, with whom Christendom is at war. Is at war, family. 1442, a Portuguese captain brought to the Gold Coast some Moorish prisoners of war. Right? Those terms are there for a reason. I know what the word Moor mean, but they were also used as designators to make sure that there is a difference between understanding who are those that are being enslaved and those who they are at war with, right? Who they are enslaving here, because the Moors, the Arabic slave trade preceded the transatlantic World War. So these Moors, right? These Arabs, these Muslims, they had our people enslaved at this time, and they took some of our people and exchanged them to free their prisoners of war, right? 10 Negro slaves, and brought these back to Lisbon. A trading settlement was established in Lagos by 1444. It would appear that by 1452, the Portuguese were anxious to establish their property rights over the newly discovered West African territories. And so Pope Nicholas, I'm going to say this again, I say this all the time, Saint Nicholas, because he has obtained sainthood, because the Catholic Church, when you deal with the word saint, that is a word that is specifically meant and made for those that have been, what they call it, now I can't think of the term now. But anyway, they were made sainthood, reach sainthood, because they have achieved at least one miracle that was supposedly been confirmed. So that word saint, he was a saint. He's Saint Nicholas. He is Santa Claus, right? But yet some of you guys are still teaching your children about Santa Claus. You still promoting, celebrating this Pope, Saint Nicholas V, for enslaving our people, making us prisoners of war, or sons and daughters of the prisoners of war, was approached and was apparently led to believe that these territories of the Guinea coast were inhabited by Saracens and other enemies of Christendom. At this time, the Catholic Church and the Christian Church, they were rolling together, family. This is before the Reformation movement, the Protestant movement. This is before Calvin. This is before Luther. This is before those guys, right? There is no other explanation of a series of papal documents which applied the well-known contemporary rules of war. But yet, we keep saying it's a slave trade. No, it was a world war, family. So we just proved that Ron Dalton told the truth. Because the people that they declared war with, the local Negro inhabitants, were not Saracens, were not Muslims, were not the enemies of Christendom. So we weren't Muslims. We weren't practicing Islam. When, even though you may have a couple, a little sprinkle on those slave ships, because, we could talk about that, but not tonight. But overall, because they had rules in place not to enslave Muslims, they were targeting our people. We're not Saracens, we're not Muslims, and we're not the enemies of Christendom, right? So again, starts by falsely suggesting that anti-Black racism can be traced back to the key Jewish texts. That's what this article said, right? That's what this article says, right? Hebrews to Negroes, the book contains even more instances of anti-Semitism. The book's 4th chapter, When Did Racism Towards Black starts by falsely suggesting that anti-Black racism can be traced back to key Jewish texts. Ronald Dalton is not lying about this. And I should have bought this book inside here. I know it's sitting right on my counter. All right. I got all kinds of books, right, family? All right. When I play a video clip, I may get it and bring it in here. But I got it up here anyway. So he's saying here, starts by falsely suggesting that anti-Black racism can be traced back to key Jewish texts. This is funny, right? The book didn't, this chapter didn't start off with this, but we can talk about some things that is inside the Talmud and their literature, their Jewish texts. Western education and religion tries to teach the world that blacks are cursed with their skin color by the curse of Ham, Canaan. This is also taught in European Jewish documents and in the teachings of the Talmud book in Judaism. Some can say that it established a base for Black racism even before the KKK. So what does Ron Dalton book say about the origins of the curse of Ham? So we're gonna fact check it. So far, Ron is in the clear. So far, we haven't seen any discrepancies. So according to John Blistein, Ron Dalton starts chapter 4 of his book by falsely suggesting that anti-Black racism can be traced back to key Jewish texts. And I'm going to show you that he's false about his accusation. So did the journalist of the Rolling Stones article properly quote Ron Dalton? Absolutely not, because here it is. This is what Ron Dalton said. Oftentimes, growing up, I wondered that if the original man and woman were white, then where did Black people come from? In the Black church, most African Americans are taught in Sunday school lessons that Adam and Eve are white. Western education and religion tries to teach that Blacks are cursed with their skin. So according to John Blistein, Ron Dalton starts chapter 4 of his book by falsely suggesting that anti-Black racism can be traced back to key Jewish texts. So is John Blistein correct with his accusations? Again, he is incorrect. He is proven to be lying, blatantly lying, right? He did not show that those first couple of sentences. He did not quote that in his article, nor did he quote this last portion, right? I'm sure he quoted that. Let me go back here. He quoted this. He quoted the yellow, but he did not quote the first couple of sentences, nor did he quote this sentence. He did not put this here, the sources that Ron Dalton made reference to. He didn't say that in the article. Very deceptive and blatantly lying. Lawsuit. I'm telling you, lawsuit. I think they're going to try to settle. Lawsuit. I see legal fingerprints all over this. The question, will there be lawyers that are bold, right, and will not be intimidated by going against the propaganda machine? Because they have endless supplies of money, resources. All right. So what's also missing from John Blistein's quote? I pointed it out. What's missing from John Blistein's quote is Ronald Dalton's listed sources, because he listed sources. Here it is. Let's go here. Right. Let's go down to where we were in the Jewish Torah Anthology, volume 1, pages 392 to 393. The detail of the true origins of slanderous beliefs that Blacks received the punishment curses from Canaan reads as the following. And he went on and just listed them all here. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you see some of the key ones here. Because he, in other words, Ham, looked at his naked father. Noah, his eyes became red, always appearing bloodshot, referring to Africans. Because he, Ham, mockingly told his brothers about his father's condition. His lips were made thick and gross like those of a Negro. Because he, Ham, turned his head to see his father, Noah, the hair of his head and beard became kinky. Because he did not cover his father, it was decree that he always go naked and blackened by the sun. So Ron, guess what? Is Ron Dalton giving a direct quote from the book? Well, let me show you. Is he misleading the people? Let me show you. This is the book right here. I left the book in my other room, my other office, but hey, you know, I showed you the book, right? The Torah Anthology, Volume 1, Genesis, right? This is an actual screen print from the book. This is what Ron quoted, right? This is what Ron Dalton quoted. And this is what we're going to read. I'm just making sure that I highlight it, right? I can zoom in, right? Because he looked at his father's neck, his naked father, his eyes became red, always appearing bloodshot. Because he mockingly told his brothers about his father's condition, his lips were made thick and gross like those of a Negro. Because he turned his head to see his father, the hair of his head and beard became kinky. Because he did not cover his father, it was decreed that he always, I can't see here, go naked, but I'll just highlight some of the screen prints here, or my special page rip effect when we get to that. So Ron Dalton quoted. Now the key is going to be that last sentence, right? And I'm going to explain that here in a second, right? So let me show you here. This is what I mean by that, right? These are the sources, right? That was called the quotes here that Ron quoted. These are the quotes, right? Now, if we go back here, right, this is the source. These are the bullets. But I want to highlight one interesting bullet here, the last one. This one right here. Because he did not cover his father, it was decreed that he always go naked and black into the sun. Now, let me explain this to you. He's not deceptive in this. What Ron did, he truncated the entire paragraph, but he still kept the thoughts here. There's more between this end that says more about them confirming that we are, according to their literature, have dark skin because of a curse. Right here it is. I'll read it to you. Here we go. Because he did not cover his father, it was decreed that he always go naked. We thus see the slaves in Egypt go naked. They did so in their cities. This was not because of poverty, since it is impossible to imagine that none of them would have enough, right? And this is what I want to highlight, right? That's the first part that you see what Ron Dalton pointed out. But then the other part is this right here. So the in-between, right, is what he left out here. But that's not being deceptive. Actually, right, I would have added it in it so you can see even more, right? But it says, but I know that's a thick book, man. A lot of information. So I can understand why he truncated it. But he was not deceptive, and he did not deceive anyone. So we thus see that slaves in Egypt go naked. They even did so in their cities. This was not because of poverty, since it is impossible to imagine that none of them would have enough money to buy clothing. The reason is that they live in a hot, damp climate. It is very uncomfortable to wear clothing. But here's the kicker. Notice what they say here. The reason for this is their geographical location. Since the Hamitic tribes live in tropical climates, it was the curse that caused them to live there. So Ron Dalton just removed all of this extra stuff there, but they still confirming that they believe that we are under this so-called curse of Ham. They must therefore go naked and blackened by the sun. So that's what, like I said, Ron Dalton truncated this. So it was this curse that caused them to live there. Right? Let me put a little substance in my throat here. Let me put a mute out here real quick. Right? I need to put some fluid in my throat. So while I do that, let me show this quick clip here, right? Just to remind you guys of some of the things that we are dealing with over in Israel. All right, here it is.
להתחיל לאסוף את המסתננים, לא צריך לחכות לבג"ץ, לא צריך שום דבר.
אני רואה חרא מחוץ לבית שלי, יריקות, פסיכופטים, אנשים שרק מחפשים איך לרצוח אותי בעיניים שלהם, אבל אף אחד לא מאמין לנו. אנחנו גזענים כדי לרצות לשמור על החיים שלנו ועל השפיות שלנו. אז אני גאה בלהיות גזענית, אני גאה בלהיות גזענית! אם אני גזענית בשביל לשמור על החיים שלי, אז אני
את עם פושי נשואה! את נשואה עם פושי! לכי את והוא! תלכי מפה! תלכי! את נשואה עם פושי! לכי! לא מתביישת!
All right. Just wanted to take a quick pause so that way I could put some fluid on my throat. But at the same time, remind you guys what's happening over in Israel right now. Right? Wanted to make sure that you guys understood what's going on. And what's interesting is this is a little bonus information here from the book. I thought this was interesting, right? Notice what it says here, right? This is dealing with Genesis chapter 9, verse 25 and 26, right? We know that it says Shem is going to, or Japheth is going to dwell in the tent of Shem. But notice what it says here. Actually, the wording here is somewhat difficult to understand. Noah said, let Canaan be their servant. Even though he was addressing Shem, Noah foresaw that many descendants of Japheth would convert to Judaism, and they would also dominate the sons of Canaan. Before we continue, I want to give some shout outs here. I want to say peace and blessings to RLB Bella. Thank you for the blessings here. Kwam Yisrael. In other words, rise up, Israel. Really appreciate the love and support. Family, let's show some love and support for the for RLB for the blessing here. Also, Lorraine Yah. Let's show some love for Lorraine Yah. Thank you for the love and support. Jay Jermaine. Want to say let's show some love and support for Jermaine. Really appreciate the love and support one more time because this info is solid. Really appreciate it, my brother. Thank you for the love and support. Share this information with others. This is what we need to get out. We need to get this word out because the more we share it, the more likely it'll get into some of the hands of these NFL, NBA players. We may be able to spark or promote or trigger another one to do what Kyrie Irving did. You know, so I appreciate it, my brother. Really appreciate it. Michael J. Dukamun wanted to say thank you for your the blessings tonight. Thank you for the support. You've been supporting for quite some while, for quite some time. Family, let's show some love for him as well. Thank you again, family. Let's show some love. Really appreciate you. All right. So let's go ahead and continue on here, right? Let's continue here. I want to show one key thing since we're dealing with Shem. Let me show one more thing here. Let me pull up another presentation. I figure since I'm here, I might as well give you some sources here, additional sources, proving that we are the people of the book. Let me see here. Let me show you one more thing here, right? Since you guys are watching here, been really faithful with this, I want to share another source. Let me see here. All right. I think it's this one here. Let's see. True identity. All right. Let's see here. All right. Let me get to this particular slide, and then I'm going to put this on the screen so that way you guys can see, you guys can share with your loved ones. Again, hit the like and subscribe button. I want to show a couple of things here. Let's go ahead and get there. All right. Let's see. All right. I want to show a source here. I'm going to start off with a scripture. Then I'm going to show a source. And I may even go even further with it to show and prove here who's who. All right. Let me go ahead and put this up here. All right. Let me stop this screen here. All right. And let me share this screen. I'm just kind of taking turn my camera off because I know I'm starting to look a little sleepy here, which I am a little sleepy because of being up late working on this project. But let me show you this here. All right, let me show you this here. All right, let me share my screen. All right, and I hope this blesses you. I'm sure it will. All right, let's go to this slide presentation. Here we go. All right, Exodus chapter 1, verse 7. Right, we're going to confirm this passage here. We're the only ones that confirm this passage here. Before I go on, I want to say shout outs to Ty Richardson. Thank you for the love and support. Thank you for the super sticker. Family, let's show some love for Ty Richardson. Thank you again. Really appreciate it. All right. Exodus chapter 1, verse 7. Notice what it says here. The children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceeding mighty, and the land was filled with them. Now there rose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. But the key is verse 7. The children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceedingly mighty, and the land was filled with them. Now, family, why is this important? Why is this important? Well, here it is. Crania Aegyptica by Samuel George Morton, right? Page 66. Let's see what he says. Let's see what he says. Actually, this is page 60 right here. If it be allowable to make these data the basis of calculation for the past 35 centuries, it will follow that upwards of 10 millions of Negroes have been brought as bondsmen into Egypt during that period. Wait a minute. Upwards of 10 millions of Negroes have been brought as bondsmen in Egypt. Uh-oh. Some, we're gonna have some people that's watching. They may do a lot of hating on this video right here, right? They may try to get this video taken down with all this information that's being shared, right? So like, subscribe, share it, do all what you need to do, get this word out, right? But it didn't stop here. But notice what it says, right? It says upwards of tens millions of Negroes have been brought as bondsmen into Egypt during that period. Dr. Samuel George Morton, cranium expert, even though he was a racist, but still he used and confirmed over 700 craniums that he got from the catacombs over there in Egypt, right? And he started comparing the craniums, and he came up with the conclusion that those Negroes that was in bondage in Egypt are the same ones that was in bondage during slavery. All right. But he didn't stop there. He says the vast influx of Negroes into the valley of the Nile must necessarily have left its impression on the physical traits of the Egyptians themselves in modern times, as seen in the Copts and in more distant periods, as proved by the Negroid heads, in which both the configuration and expressions are too obvious to be. He goes on to say mistaken, but it may be inquired, how does this happen that Negroes or their descendants should be found in the catacombs if they constituted a menial or slave caste system? So he's confirming that, guess what, family? That we were scattered all through Israel. Notice what it says here. Negroes were numerous in Egypt, not Israel, but Egypt. Negroes were numerous in Egypt, but their social position in ancient times was the same that it is now, that of servants and of slaves, family. You can't get away from this information. You cannot get away from this information. I'm going geek mode on you guys. I am going geek mode on you guys, but I'm not going to stop there. I am not going to stop there, right? Because remember, TD Jake said a few things about being an Igbo. So let's touch on the Igbos real quick. let's touch on the Igbos real quick. Let's go here. You see, guys, I got presentations for days, but let's touch on the Igbos real quick, and then we will go back to our regularly scheduled program. I'll put my other presentation back up. All right, let's see here. I should have just simply did a search. All right, but it's okay. I'm taking the long way there. All right. And guess what? I don't have it in this one. All right, let me take it back here. Let me make sure. It may be in another one. If not, I have to wait till I get there. Let me see here. Yeah, it's in my part 2. This is only part 1, so yeah, it's not in this one. All right, family. I thought it was in this one. So we'll get there when we get there. Let me stop this here. Let me close this out because I got so many windows up. All right. Let's remove this. All right. Now let me bring back up the other screen. Let's continue. All right. Let's see here. And we'll get back to the Igbos. Remind me not to close out. If I forget, remind me before I close out to talk about the Igbos. I may even show a little bit of my DNA results. All right, let's go back here. All right. So again, right, they say that Japheth would convert to Judaism. And family, when you understand the law of return, and I may even, when I deal with the Igbos, I'll touch on a little bit of the law of return to show that Judaism pretty much is similar to Christianity. It's a religion that allows people to convert over, be a convert, to take on the term Jewish, just like, hey, becoming a Christian, you have to embrace Christianity. It's no different. So are there other rabbinical sources that provides information about the curse of Ham? Absolutely. Where did this teaching originate? Let me show you, right? Barakoth 50b, 58b. Notice what it says. I'm highlighting what's highlighted in yellow here, right? And they are going to compare us Negroes to monkeys as well, apes, right? Strange creatures is what they refer to us as. On seeing pockmarked persons, one says, "Blessed be he who makes strange creatures." An objection was raised if one see a Negro, a very red or very white person, a hunchback, a dwarf. So when it says a Negro, and when it says a very red or white person, a light-skinned Negro, or a Negro that's dealing with albinism, because that would be a very white Negro, still a Negro, but no pigmentation. A hunchback dwarf, right? Blessed be he who makes strange creatures. So notice what it says here. On seeing an elephant, an ape, or a long-tailed ape, one says, "Blessed be he who makes strange creatures." When we go to the Sanhedrin 108b, right? Our rabbis taught 3 copulated in the ark, and they were all punished: the dog, raven, and Ham. The dog was doomed to be tied. The raven expected to raise his seeds in his mate's mouth, and Ham was smitten in his skin. In other words, cursed in his skin with dark skin. And the footnote, an example from him descended Cush, the Negro, who is black-skinned. We'll see their influence over the Jehovah's Witnesses. This is coming from the Watchtower. You know, I always come with receipts. The white race exhibits some qualities of superiority over any other. We are to remember that there are wide differences in the same Caucasian, in other words, Semitic and Aryan families. So they're looking at Semitic as being Caucasians. You know, they whitewashing. This is the Watchtower, Jehovah's Witnesses, right? It says here, he foretold that the degeneracy would mark the posterity of Canaan, degrading him, making him servile. We are not able to determine to a certainty that the sons of Ham and Canaan are the Negroes, but we consider that general view as probable as any other, right? We go to another watchtower. It's going to basically echo the same, the golden age, right? It's going to echo the same thing. And we see here, is there anything in the Bible that reveals the origin of the Negro? Answer, it is generally believed that the curse which Noah pronounced upon Canaan was the origin of the black race. So guess what? Judaism existed well before Jehovah's Witness, before the watchtower. The Talmud existed before these religions here, this religion here. So it's safe to say where the origin of that Hamitic curse come from, by being cursed in the skin, be smitten in the skin. So let me go to another one, right? Let's go to the Mormons, right? The mark of Cain. This is from Bruce R. McConkey's Mormon Doctrine, right? Let's see what it says here. To illustrate, Cain, Ham, and the whole Negro race have been cursed with a black skin, the mark of Cain. Okay, so we see the influence there. So is John Blistein correct with his accusations towards Ron? Guess what, family? And incorrect. He lied. Very deceiving, very deceptive. Right? Let's go back to this article. Let's highlight another thing. He says here, Kyrie Irving boosts anti-Semitic movie peddling Jewish slave ships, but he goes on to say the video is based on a venomously anti-Semitic book which asserts that many famous high-ranking Jews have admitted to worshiping Satan or Lucifer. Is he correct? Guess what? Let's see here. Did he accurately quote Ron Dalton? And I'm going to prove to you he didn't, right? This is coming from Ron Dalton's book, right? I can highlight more, right? I can even show you Caucasians referring to this passage here, Revelations 2:9, the synagogue of Satan, but they try to put this all on the Israelites, right? On those that have waken up, right? This Black Hebrew Israelite byword or slogan that they put together. None of us refer to ourselves at that, but they created a straw man and they had to put a name on the straw man. Black Hebrew Israelite is an oxymoron, and it is an insult. And don't none of you guys refer to yourselves as Black Hebrew Israelites. None of us are Black Hebrew Israelites. We are just simply Israelites. All right. And if you know that you're from the tribe of Judah, guess what? Then if you want to use that transliterated word Jew, that's up to you. Right. But anyway, nevertheless, right? You know, most Jews do not like to admit, but our God is Lucifer. So I wasn't lying. And we are his chosen people. Lucifer is very much alive. Prominent Ashkenazi Jew, Harold Wallace Rosenthal, author of The Hidden Tyranny, 1976. So Ron Pope made reference to a prominent rabbi, not rabbi, but Ashkenazi Jew, Harold Wallace Rosenthal, right? As he states that most Jews would not admit, but they serve Hasatan, Lucifer. But he goes on to say, not only do the Jews say this, but also European, Scottish, York Freemasons have claimed that they worship Satan or Lucifer. Many famous high-ranking Jews and Freemasons have written books admitting this or admitting to this. So going back to this Rosenthal document, notice what it says, and Ron quotes it word for word. That is when he said this in part, most Jews do not like to admit it, but our God is Lucifer. So I wasn't lying, and we are his chosen people. Lucifer is very much alive, right? And that's what I just quoted right here. I've just read this right here. So Ron Dalton didn't lie. Who is Harold Rosenthal? How did he die, right? Because Ron also said he was a prominent Ashkenazi Jew. But let's see here. Let's go to the Jewish Telegraphic Agency, because I got proof. I got sources that's going to vouch for his character, who he is, right? So this is highlighting a terrorist attack, right? And it says 2 people died over in Turkey. It says here, Also killed during the attack was Harold Rosenthal, an aide to Senator Jacob Javits. And you guys are familiar with the Jacob Javits Center up in New York. You know, I know when I used to live up there, we used to go to all kinds of conventions over there, right? Jacob Javits, very wealthy person. And Harold Rosenthal was an aide to this senator, which means he was very reputable. He's very credible, right? A credible person. To be a senator's aide, you have to go through the rigors of a security clearance, a high-level clearance. So there was nothing nutty about this guy, right? Because of him being able to obtain that position. He was a very notable, as Ron Dalton pointed out, prominent Ashkenazi Jew. So he was killed during this attack 30 days, a month later after doing the interview that the writer, that the interviewee wrote down and kept a journal of what was said. All right. So was Harold Rosenthal, was he Jewish? Well, we're going to prove this. This is coming from the Reagan Library. Reagan Library. The digital library. Did I put it up here? I didn't put it up. I must have accidentally deleted it. But this is from the Reagan Digital Library. President Reagan, online digital library. Now, what the ADL says, right? They'll say that this was not true. They'll say the writer of this was anti-Semitic, right? This writer did an interview, recorded the interview, and documented it. They'll say, well, why did he wait 2 years before he released this? But listen to the words here. Pay attention to the words here, family. Let's see the pattern here. The Jews, Mr. Harold Wallace Rosenthal, made this statement after admitting Jewish dominance in all significant national programs. He said, "We Jews continue to be amazed with the ease by which Christian Americans have fallen into our hands, while the Native Americans wait for Khrushchev to bury them. We have taught them to submit to our every demand. Ask how a nation could be captured without their knowing it." Mr. Rosenthal attributed this victory to absolute control of the media. He boasts of Jewish control of all news. Any newspaper which refused to acquiesce to controlled news was brought to its knees by withdrawing advertising. And I meant to put a clip of the leader, the president of the ADL, bragging how they brought Nike to their knees because of the whole Kanye West situation. I'm gonna upload that clip tomorrow. Failing in this, the Jews stopped the supply of news, print, and ink. It's a very simple matter, he stated. Ask about men in high political offices, Mr. Rosenthal said. No one in the last 3 decades have achieved any political power without Jewish approval. Americans have not had a presidential choice since 1932. Roosevelt was our man. Every president since has been our man. So let's go to page 16. This is what's really interesting. Page 16 of this document. Again, Ronald Reagan Presidential Library, Digital Library Collection, The Hidden Tyranny, the issue that dwarfs all other issues. All right. So this is not just a low-end library. This is a very high-end library. This is part of that digital collection. Notice what it says here. The Jewish nation is the enemy of all nations. As more and more manuscripts are being placed into circulation, the more the hysterical they, the Jews, and their JDL, ADL, etc., the ADL, Anti-Defamation League, etc., are becoming as evidence by what they have done to me physically. But time does not allow for such descriptions now. Believe me, however, they have beaten, tortured me, threaten my life if I continue to disrupt the Rosenthal papers, or not disrupt, but distribute the Rosenthal papers, as they call them. Although concerned, fear is not a part of my character. We must pray to God. We must pray that God will save this nation. And to appeal to God is not an idle gesture. My Christian faith remains intact. God save our America. Even if at present we are prisoners of a propaganda monopoly by a handful of traitors and manipulators, we can, with his help, lift the yoke and break the bond so that our majority, by righteous representation, can assert its and following, right? So we see this in this document here, and this is what I read here. This is what I read here. But let's highlight a few more things from this article, because there was some or this source, because there's some interesting information in this PDF. But let's highlight some additional things. I want to highlight this paragraph right here. This is what it says. The Rosenthal document, which we titled "The Hidden Tyranny," confirms the theme of the protocols of the learned elders of Zion. It might be called Personalized Protocols, 1979 edition. Friends of Israel have criticized our reference to the protocols, saying that they are forgeries, right? Saying that they are forgeries. Well, what are they referring to? I'm going to show you here. It says here, also, I will quoting Benjamin Franklin's famous remark about the Jews as being fraudulent. Wait a minute. So it's saying that Benjamin Franklin famous remark about the Jews as being fraudulent? We have since met their challenge by acquiring documented proof of the authenticity of both. And for a mere $1, we will send you both documents along with the 8-page manuscript. America's unyielding to millions. So this is saying Benjamin Franklin says something negative about the Jewish community. Did Ben Franklin actually say the Jews are frauds? According to this source? According to this source that's in the Reagan libraries? The Franklin Prophecy, American most virulent, excuse me if I mispronounce it, virulent anti-Semitic forgeries, is all about the Benjamin's Baby by Scott D. Seligman, right? So this article is referring to, of course, they saying it's purported to be a transcript. So the argument against this is saying that that transcript is a forgery, that it it popped up in the late 19th century and the early 20th century. That's what they're saying here. But it was interesting to read some of this stuff. It says the volume titled Chit Chat Around the Table During Intermission included what purported to be a transcript of remarks delivered by Benjamin Franklin, then 81 years old. Franklin was quoted as advocating the exclusion of Jews from the new republic entirely in order to stave off dire consequences to American commerce, religion, and government. Pinckney ostensibly recorded Franklin's remarks verbatim. Some excerpts, these are some of the excerpts, right? In whatever country Jews have settled in any great numbers, they have lowered its moral tone, have depreciated its commercial integrity, have segregated themselves, have not assembled, have sneered at, and tried to undermine the Christian religion upon which this nation is founded. By objecting to its restrictions, have built up a state within a state, and when opposed, have tried to strangle that country to death financially, as in the case of Spain and Portugal, right? It goes on to say they cannot live among themselves only. They must subsist on Christians and other peoples not of their race. If you do not exclude them from the United States in this Constitution, in less than 200 years, they will have swarmed here in such great numbers that they will dominate and devour the land, and change our form of government for which we Americans have shed our blood, given our lives, our substance, jeopardized our liberty, and put into our best thoughts. So going back here, Black Gentry, a quote from President George Washington, right? So it's interesting because when I was researching and going further into some of the things that's listed in this document, it led me to Black Gentry, right? A quote from President George Washington, right? The source is Maxims of Washington, political, moral, and religious. Notice what it says here, right? This is in the section on page 125, right? This is written back in 1752, right? It says it's the tribe of Black Gentry work more effectually against us, that the enemy's arms, they are 100 times more dangerous to our liberties and the great cause we are engaged in. And when I saw this Black tribe, right, this tribe of Black Gentry, it was an interesting statement, right? It's an interesting label, right? And so when you look at it on the surface, you're thinking this is Black people. No, Black Gentry is, many have referred to Black Gentry being interchangeable as Jews, right? So I'm making it clear. I'm just giving you sources. I'm not stating one way or the other. This is the original source, but some will say that Black Gentry, George Washington is referring to the Jews. But I'm going to just show you another article to kind of give clarity to Black Gentry or what that is. But this is not referring to the slaves. This is not referring to our people. That's for sure. Right. But let's see what it means. What is Black Gentry? Well, when we go to this article here, Encyclopedia of Virginia, it gives us an understanding of what gentry itself is. It says the gentry were a small class of men who dominated the economic, social, and political life of Virginia through much of the mid to late 18th century, right? And it goes on to say of land, but not noble lineage. The gentry established themselves in Virginia as tobacco planters, relying heavily on the labor first of indentured servants and then enslaved Africans. As the richest men of Virginia, they dominated colonial government, sitting on the government council and in the House of Burgess, and running Anglican vestries, right? So we see that when we go back to this George Washington article, we know that when he says the tribe of Black Gentry, excuse me, he is not referring to our people. So that's interesting. When I was going through the research here of Howard Rosenthal and the person that interviewed him, the person that the ADL has called a racist, right? Called him a anti-Semitism, because remember that anti-Semitic term is it's vague, right? Anything that even talks about a conspiracy, anti-Semitism. But I find it interesting how this person said that he was being bullied. His life is threatened. All right. What's next? Let's see here. So what is the legal definition of anti-Semitism? Going right back here. Calling for, aiding, or justifying the killing or harming of Jews, making mendacious, dehumanizing, demonizing, or stereotypical allegations about Jews as such, or the power of Jews as a collective, especially but not exclusively. The myth about a world Jewish conspiracy or of Jewish controlling the media, economy, government, or other societal institutions. Accusing the Jews as a people of being responsible for real and imagined wrongdoing committed by a single Jewish person or group, the state of Israel, or even the acts committed by non-Jews. Accusing the Jews as a people or Israel as a state of inventing or exaggerating the Holocaust. Accusing Jewish citizens of being more loyal to Israel or to the alleged priorities of the Jews worldwide than to the interests of their own nation. So is this anti-Semitism? Right? Right? And this is what's interesting. In Ron Dalton's movie, right, he has a span of about a minute and a half, if that, showing some comments, right? He showed the former president of leader of Egypt, right, when he talked about the Israelites leaving black and coming back white, right? And then this is one of the ones, because I was going to try to put that inside here, but I couldn't. I didn't have enough time to squeeze it all in here. But again, notice this. This is Henry Ford, the international Jew, 1922. Henry Ford, the international Jew, 1922. Let's see what he says here, because we don't see, you won't see this in that article highlighting this here. You don't hear them talking about Henry Ford. You guys know who Henry Ford is, but notice what it says here, right? Yet the false idea that Jews constitute all Israel has penetrated the Christian consciousness to an alarming extent, so that when the Jewish press insists, as it does every week, we gave you your God, we gave you your Bible, we gave you your Christ, even Christian ministers cannot find an answer. The answer is that the Old Testament is 9/10 an Israelitish book and not a Jewish book. Abraham is not a Jew. Isaac was not a Jew. Jacob was not a Jew. Moses was not a Jew. Joshua was not a Jew. Gideon was not a Jew. Samuel was not a Jew. Even Esther and Mordecai were not Jews, but Benjamites. The majority of the prophets were not Jews, but Israelites. Upon the coming of Judah into power, the persons of David and Solomon, the misrule was so great that Israel succeeded, and the secession was sanctioned by the prophets. In the New Testament, Jesus Christ found his disciples in Galilee, far out of Judea, and of them there was but one, Judas, whose name indicates that he was a Jew. St. Paul, Apostle Paul, was of the tribe of Benjamin, the light tribe, which was left with Judah for a light. All right. So Ron Dalton mentions this. He mentions this. Henry Ford, right? Discussing the word Jew versus Jewish, word Jew versus Israel. He's touching on what Benjamin Friedman touched on, the facts of facts. That word Jew being a very confusing word. All right. Is using an alleged quote from Hitler considered viewing him in a positive light? I'm going to ask that question because that's one of the things you hear, some of the talking points you hear, saying that Ron Dalton's film promoted Hitler in a positive light. That was not in the movie. He was not promoting Hitler in a positive light. Now, he did say that Hitler, Assad, and some of the other people that I mentioned, Henry Ford, said that they were influential people. That's noted that Hitler was a person of influence. You cannot lead that multitude of people if you don't have any influence. We know that Assad, who he was very influential in this country. All the ones that I pointed out, yes, they're going to have a high level of influence. So is using an alleged quote from Hitler considered viewing him in a positive light? So I'm going to ask that question. I'm going to present that to the chat. If using an alleged quote from Hitler, right, is that considered viewing Hitler in a positive light? Type yes. If you feel like using a quote by Hitler is viewing Hitler in a positive light, type yes. If you say no, type no, and we'll read some of your responses here. All right. And while you guys are doing that, I need to update something here. Let's see here. Because I want to share a quote while you guys are voting that Ron Dalton included in his movie. Right. Let me do this here. All right, let's see here. Almost done, and I'll take a look here. Let's see. All right, let's see here. Let me pull this in because we're almost done. Right. I know I took a lot of time because when you're doing these type of lessons, it could take a lot of time. All right. We still got a little ways to go, but I can't do it all tonight. We had to break this up into 2 parts. All right. Let's see here. I want to get to a certain place. All right. All right. Let me pull this in. And I am going to try to pull up the Hebrew to Negroes because there's one quote that I want to highlight in that movie that he made about made reference to Hitler, but I want to make sure you understand what he said. I don't want to just share it. I mean, state it, but I want to show it to you so you can be the jury on what it means. Let me see here. All right, let me put this here. And let me check my email. Let me copy this over from my email. All right, because I want to show one more thing here. All right. All right, doing one more thing. Almost there, family. Just doing something here, and I'm going to go through the chat to see who said what. But I want to make sure I get this in here. And then I'm going to go to Amazon to show a little portion of the movie. I'm not going to show the movie. I just want to show a quote about Hitler in the movie to see if what they say is true. Let you view what he said. All right, let me just open this up here. This is not working. All right, let's see here. All right, almost done here. Let me put this here. All right. Okay, let me open this up. Almost done, family. Almost done. Just want to get this in before I forget. And then we'll touch on the Igbos. And we'll wrap it up. We'll just have to break this up into 2 parts because I am getting very, very tired and I got to get up early in the morning. So let's put this here. All right, that's not what I want. Bible study, Hitler. Okay, so let me take this. Almost done, family. All right, let me shrink this down because this is a large input here. Let's take this and let's copy this over. Then I'm going to show this on your screen. Hopefully it's not too big. All right, yeah, there we go. All right. All righty, here we go. I'm getting ready to pull this up right now, but I did want to get this on here. Now, this is a source here, one of the sources that Ron Dalton quoted. So let me go to the next screen here. All right, before I do that, let me see how you guys voted. All right. All right. So let's see here. Lisa Burnett said no. You know, just because you're making a source, using a source or quoting someone doesn't necessarily mean that you're viewing that person in a positive light. I agree with you. Seed of Jake, son of Zion. No. Dog Skywalker, no. Game Amp, no. Let's see here. Still I Rise, no. So far, all you guys said no. So far, I'm seeing the yeses here. Laura, Toria Matthews. Let's see here. Taza Ba Eber, Tazara. All right. So far, no's here. Stacy Pullum, Leanie, no. Let's see here. Victoria's Spirit, no. So far, every last one of you guys, we got a unanimous no. I don't see any yeses here. All right. Well, actually, one person posted yes. All right. Jay Israel posted yes. So this person believed that, hey, if you make a quote, use a quote by Hitler, you're using them in a positive light. All right. So if that's the case, then let me show you a source here. Let me bring my camera up. I wasn't going to show my face again because I know I'm probably looking tired here. But let me show you this source here. And I'm going to bring this clip in as well. Let me show you this source. Let me start my camera. Right. This book right here. This is from Time, right? Time Life. Right. And what I want to show you a clip of is coming from, I believe is, let me see here. And I just did a quick screen print so that way I could put it in my presentation. I'm going to show you, let's see here. Right? This paragraph right here, I can't stretch it on here. I want you to see this right here. Right? I'm coming from, it's a paragraph right, can't see it. I can't show you. It's a paragraph right here, right? And I'm going to I'm going to show you here what that paragraph says. And that is inside Ron Dalton's movie, right? So let's see what that paragraph says. So I don't believe because you're quoting someone, because there's a lot of people that were racist and did all kinds of craziness, right? I just quoted, what's his name? Samuel Morton about the cranium. He's a racist. But does that mean that I am supporting him? Does that mean that I'm looking at him as in a positive light? If that's the case, we can't watch any movies. If that's the case, you can't do no research as people in our position, because many of the sources you go to is going to be racist. Many of the institutions you go to are racist. They were founded off of racism with your and my ancestors as slaves. So let's go ahead and pull this up here. Right? This is the page, right? And I'm going to read what it says. This was in Ron Dalton's book, right? And it says here, in one segment, a Nazi, in other words, instructional film, right to the right, the generic heritage of the Jew is purportedly traced to Oriental, Negro, Near Asian, and Hamitic people. Hence, the film concludes the Jews is a bastard. Below, the villainous title character of Judd Suss, a violent anti-Semitic melodrama, spins schemes with his crony Rabbi Lowe. Right? So is that anti-Semitic? Because the Time Life magazine has an entire book. Right? They have an entire book, family. Matter of fact, I didn't have that zoomed in. Let me zoom it in. All right. Let me zoom this in so you can see. This is what I read. This is what I read. This is not anti-Semitic. This is not anti-Semitic. But let me show you one clip from his book on the thing that I believe that is really being made into more than what it is because Ron Dalton shared this here. Let me pull it up here. What is it? Let's see. All right. All right. Let me sign in. I just want to, I'm not, and this is strictly for fair use. I'm not going to show much of the film. Only thing I want to do is show a quote. So let's see here. All right. Let's see here. Movies. All right. Let me pull this up. All right. Continue watching. And I'm going to put this on your screen. I may even just take a screen print if need be. Oh, it's not letting me. It's freezing. So, yeah, family, it's streamed. It's freezing. So while that's coming up, I'm going to pull up one more thing. I said I was going to mention the EBOs, and let me pull that up. But that is taking a. Yeah, I was going to show the quote, but in the quote, even though I haven't verified it, it says that Hitler refers to our people as the jewels of God, right? And that the Jewish community know that we here in America, the blacks, the Negroes in America, are jewels of God, right? That's really what it says. That's basically what it says. So is that anti-Semitic? I mean, is it saying that Ron Dalton supports Hitler? Is that saying because Ron Dalton made reference to a lot of sources that he's endorsing that person, that he's viewing them in a positive light? No, he's just using sources because I know that I don't agree with the Talmud, but I use it as a source to bring forth certain points. There's a lot of sources I share that just because I share the sources doesn't mean that I agree with the opinions of that person. Yeah, it's not working. So I can't read it here, family. All right. So that's what they're saying. Some are saying, I'm not saying all, some are saying that like Molly Quorum, when ESPN, when Jason Williams questioned the why is Amazon is being let off the hook, right? She came out and said, hey, insinuated that Ron Dalton viewed Hitler in a positive light because he made reference to a quote, right? That's what she said. So anyway, I thought I could get that screen print up. I can't. So I'm going to stop that stream. And I'm going to show you one more thing in family. I'm going to have to take it down. I am going to have to take it down. I am tired. So let me show you one more thing. Let me get to the EBO because I said I will show it. All right, let's get to the EBOs. All right. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Almost there. I think this is it. Let's see. Nope, that's not it. I got so many presentations. Let's see if is this it? I think this is it. Let me see. Almost there. All right, let's try this one. Let's see. Nope, this is not it. Let me pull up the older one. This may be it. All right. That's not it. Let me try one more. All right, let's see if this one's it. tell you, I'm batting 1,000 here tonight. All right. Let's try this one. All right. I know it has to be in this one. Let's try this one. All right. There we go. There we go. All right, family. Let me show you this real quick, and then we're going to call it a wrap. This is my fact checking of Ron Dalton's book. Now, I will say, far as the quote that he shared about Hitler, he made it clear that, right, he just put in there like some say, so to speak, some view or call, believe that, yeah, I think he said something to the effect, some believe that Hitler said that, referred to us as being the Jews of the Most High. And for me personally, I wouldn't have had that in as a reference because that's very vague. Because I'd rather have verifiable sources versus a source that's saying some believe that Hitler believed or said X, Y, and Z. Because when you do that, you leave room for error, and I believe that's what he did with that particular source, right? So I don't believe he's trying to sensationalize or trying to view Hitler in a positive light, but at the same time, I wouldn't have used an unverifiable source because that opens you up to a lot of scrutiny for doing so. All right, so let me show this real quick, and we're going to call it a wrap. All right, and I appreciate you guys for hanging out with me this late on a Friday night, or should I say Saturday night? All right, let me bring it up here. All right, here we go. But like I said, I just think that I wouldn't have used the source because that's not really a verifiable source when you say when you use a generic term like that. When you say some believe, and then you have this whole quote there saying how Hitler said that we are the jewel of the Most High, and you don't have a valid source. And like I said, I was trying to verify it, and I just couldn't verify it. I really couldn't verify it. So I don't think he should have included it. But at the same time, you can't not say that he's looking at Hitler in a positive light because he's mentioning Hitler. I think that is wrong, and I think that that is not an accurate depiction of Ron Dalton. I think that is part of gaslighting. So let me share this to you guys about the Ebos. Jewish Almanac by Rains Carl. This is about a certain individual that I just want to highlight. Henry Alfred Kissinger, right? He's a Jewish guy, right? Remember, I said this Jewish Almanac has a lot of nuggets here. Secretary of State under President Nixon. So I want to make sure he's a very reputable person. He served under Richard Nixon, the third most powerful man in the country, Secretary of State. Okay. So this is what he says in his memorandum. This is coming from state.gov, like where I read the laws of the anti-Semitism. It says this: the Igbos are the wandering Jews of West Africa, gifted, aggressive, westernized. But the key, the Igbos are the wandering Jews of West Africa. You can't get around that, family. This is Harry Kissinger, right? This is Harry Kissinger, right? Who is making this comment. You can't get away from it, family. Saying and stating that the Igbo people, and Harry Kissinger has access to all kinds of documents when you're at that level. You know, there's different levels to security clearances, especially when you're dealing with top secret. There's sections within the top secret that further really segment who has permissions to and access to very sensitive information. So why would he say the Igbos are the wandering Jews of West Africa? Why would he say that? How come we don't hear the Jewish community talking about this? So if he's saying that the Igbos are the wandering Jews of West Africa, and that we also have people confirming them, as far as the Obadiah Alliance confirmed that they are the Igbos are blood descendants of the ancient Israelites, then how come we don't hear that with the Anti-Defamation League? Why? Because, right, showing the source here, right? Why? Because that means that at least one out of every 4 people, our ancestors that was on those slave ships, are Igbos. At least 1 out of every 4. So that means that 9 times out of 10, we're connected to the Igbo people. 9 times out of 10, we're connected to the Lemba people. But we don't hear about those things. Most people in the church never even heard about this information right here. TD Jakes, I believe he know about this information, but he's not talking about this information. Many don't want to lose their status. They don't want to lose their money. They don't want to lose the bag. Right? The Igbos. Okay. All right. I think that is it, family. I know I covered a lot of information. I'm not going to go into any more of this other items. I'm going to stop this right now. And let me see. Yeah, I've stopped this right now. I'm making sure that I don't continue with my geek mode because I can keep going and I don't want to do that. All right. So let me go ahead and get this back up. All right. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in. But let me get the screen back up. Appreciate you guys for the love and support. And I hope and pray that this review at least gives you the motivation to say, you know what, let me at least purchase the book and let me see for myself. Let me judge for myself, because what's happening right now is they're doing so much gaslighting that they're trying to make it so that way people don't want to read the book. They don't want to go near the material. They're trying to make it so toxic to where so many people don't want to go near it. But it's actually been working in reverse, because I mean, it's the best-selling item that's on Amazon. It's the most talked about subject and topic that's on Twitter. So again, I hope this helps you guys. And I will say, just be careful when you're using Hitler as a source. If you're mentioning Hitler, just make sure you make it clear on your stance. Make it clear, hey, I'm just using it for a source. I'm not saying that Hitler or viewing Hitler in a positive light. I'm just stating what is on the record, like this here. This is on the record. This is not anti-Semitic. This is not promoting Hitler. So if this is the case, then we could say New York Times or Times Like magazine is endorsing Hitler. No, this is a special edition to give you what? History, a historical information backdrop of this. All right. So again, family, I hope this helps you. Like, subscribe to the channel, share the video. And family, in the words of the Messiah, our Messiah, he made it clear. He said, to his disciples in Matthew chapter 24, he said, hearken, in other words, listen with intelligence. The Hebrew word is shemai, right? Listen with intelligence. Let no man deceive you. Don't let these people deceive you. Don't let, when they let out their war cry, which is anti-Semitism, to rally their people to one cause, don't let it intimidate you. So in the words of Moses, right, as he encouraged the children of Israel, he said, fear ye not, stand still, see the salvation of Yahweh. These Egyptians that you see today, you never have to deal with them ever again. The Most High will fight for you. But guess what, family? You have to hold your peace. The Hebrew word there is not shalom. Some of you guys would say shalom, which transliterates to peace. You know, a salutation of, is it well? No, the Hebrew word you see there is karash, which means be quiet. Can't go back. Can't stay here. Guess what, family? Keep moving forward. Shalom.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11 verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14 verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was black. Abraham, born in the city of a black man, called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was the... Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10.